Well, it's good to see everybody popping in. Brett, is that really you? Are you working tonight?
That's really me. No, not working tonight,
Oh,
but
good.
just doing stuff around the house. So,
Nice. How you been?
doing all right. Work's been crazy for a while. That's starting to settle down. Um, so yeah, nothing really new in the real estate game. Just doing a turnover on one property. It's not too bad. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay. We're going through two evictions on our Milwaukee place. They're
That sucks.
yeah, one of the tenants has been out for about a week and they're turning the unit. It was kind of nice. The first time when we were with the other property management company, that turn cost us a lot. It was like $6,000. So I was dreading what these guys were going to come back with, but they came in with an estimate of 3,300.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a nice surprise. And the eviction with this new company was only, I think it was about $600, maybe less, but the other company was $1,500. So I think it
Is
was a
that going to the lawyers?
yeah, I think it's actually like 480 or something like that. Yes,
You're still a smart asset right now?
we're still a smart asset. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we've only been with them probably like 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're pretty happy with everything so far.
Good.
How long did you have your two tenants?
The two tenants that were in there, they were there for, one of them was there when we bought the place in 22. So a couple of years for her. And the other one was about a year old. But they had both already been facing eviction. And when they went to court and everything, we worked things out and allowed them to stay. And this is the second time. So we decided not to go that route again. We're just going to try to get them out and start fresh.
Hey, Frank, one quick uh follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
How long, or trying to formulate how I'm trying to think of this. Did they have like payment troubles before they had um gone to uh gone through the, I guess, initial eviction process before, basically trying to figure out, like, were there any warning signs, if you want to call it that?
Yeah, the one tenant that we had the longest, um, I think when we took over the property, it was her and her husband, and they got behind. They were like 3 months behind, and when they went to court, all of a sudden they were able to catch up on all the 3 months. And
Yeah, magically, right?
yeah, so like I said, we allowed them to stay, and then the second person, she also was having trouble keeping up. And when before we allowed her to stay and she agreed to catch up right away, also, we went and inspected the unit, made sure, she was taking good care of the place. And I was surprised at how nice she had been keeping the place. So we gave her a second chance as well. But in talking with the property manager, uh, you know, they, she, we were talking about it with someone where they talked about how the tenants are training us and they get to that point and then they think they can catch up and we let them catch up and things like that. So the property manager was like, these two tenants are just working the system, let's just get them out and find you some better people to get in here. So we agreed.
How long does it take to evict?
For the first one, once they had posted the papers, it was about 3 weeks until she was actually got the court date, and then it was like just a couple of days after that she moved on her own. Actually, she left on her own. So that wasn't
Did
too
she get
bad.
an eviction on a record?
Yeah, we didn't stop it. So yes, she does.
Yeah,
That's
I would say
huge.
that's the right call. I would say that's still the right call.
Yeah.
Like if she came that close and was like, oh well, because it sounded very similar to a story. I want to say it was maybe a couple of months ago where Matt was basically saying the same thing about a tenant where it was like basically the 11th hour, and then the tenant was all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, I've found religion, basically. I don't want to offend anybody or anything like that, but found religion, just so happen to have all of the money here, and let's see if we can work something out. And it was just like, yeah, no, because if you were that much of a headache up to this point, why at the 11th hour, right as the ink is about to dry on the eviction paperwork, why is that then it's almost like basically like the last stop before being a professional tenant, if she's not one already, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's where it was going with us and them. So
Are
hopefully,
you able to collect any of the costs for the eviction? Or did you try in the beginning, like the first time?
yeah, the second tenant who's not out yet, she had like gotten on a payment plan and she paid, I guess, what she could, and then she had gotten rental assistance and things like that. But now that was like a couple months ago, and so we got a little bit of it back, but
No, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can get back your costs for the eviction, can you?
no.
So the first time you guys came pretty close. Like, what did that cost you?
Well, it cost us 750, so they take the whole process was 1500, and so they take half to get everything rolling. And then when that tenant got caught up, we lost the 750, but they got caught up on their 3 months rent. It was like $4,600 or something like that. So that time worked out okay, and we lost the 750. But this time, I think she's 2 months, so that's about 3,500, and then well, 3,700 plus the 480 for the attorney.
So can you collect 480 for the attorney?
Not that I know of, not yet. I haven't.
Yeah, for rent you cannot, but if it's like a land contract, you can. That's the difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for rent you can't really collect anything other than rent. And that's the tough part about evictions.
Yeah, we're trying to get through them as quickly as possible. And like I said, the properties were kept in good shape, so the turnover is not going to be horrible, but it's still quite a bit. Once we pay 3,300 to turn the unit, and she was behind 3,700, so that's quite a chunk.
Okay. Are you going to go after them for the rent?
I'm going to check with the property manager. That I think Mikey had a similar situation, and they had told him for the expense that it's going to take to go after them through the collection process, that he wouldn't get that much more back, because so for example, if it cost $3,000 or something to chase him down for the money, and they owed him 4,900 or something like that, he's still losing most of it. So
I don't think it costs that much. You just go to small claims, and then on the judgment, you can you just pay like 20% to a collector.
okay.
Yeah, when I was talking with a lawyer, they were saying for collections, to send it to collections, it'd be about 3 to 5,000, and the net judgment was about 4,000. So they said it wasn't really worth pursuing that. So
No,
they
the
could file.
collections work on a percentage of whatever they can collect. I think it's around 20%. It's
Oh, I
not a
see.
flat rate.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
But
just
you have
pretty
to
much
get the
saying what
judgment.
the lawyer
Once
told
you
me.
get the
So
once you get the judgment, then you can send that judgment for collection
Okay,
And then they'll look out, they'll track like the bank accounts, and if there's money in there, they can pull it out.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So instead of that, we went with the Court of Common Pleas, and that was, I think, $600 to file. So I think it's like if they make any large purchases or anything, then they'll have to pay the net judgment first to do that. If I got that right.
Hey, I got a what's a good way to put this? A somewhat related but slightly random question. Thinking about like all of the legal expenses. Um, I know this is probably going to sound like it comes out of left field, but wouldn't all of those expenses be tax deductible?
Well, there'd be income deductions.
Losses, right?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not like anybody's, of course, chomping at the bit to have, you know, um, delinquent tenants or anything, but, you know, in the event that such an unfortunate circumstance were to happen, that's something that I was just thinking about. I was just like, there's got to be some sort of like silver lining to all of this, because outside of just coming out of your pocket and getting somebody out because, you know, they can't, you know, uphold their end of the contract. That was just something I was just thinking about. But
Yeah, Chester, somebody else mentioned that in one of the other podcasts about the fact that they would be able to, it would count as a loss on their taxes. I can't remember if it was Dion or Matt, but one of them brought it up.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I paid 1,400 for le the lawyer fees, and then the Court of Common Pleas to file that was 600. So probably about 2,000 in total.
But plus the rents, right? The rents would be
Yeah,
added to that.
yeah. And it's funny because there's like the court dates and then the calendar dates, and it's like killing you because you wish the court dates would operate on calendar dates, but they don't. So it's like it adds even more time to the process. Pretty funny.
Yeah. Hi, Jack. Thanks for being here. Don't work too hard.
Well, in East Point, I had to first you go to court, you get the eviction from the court, but then you actually have to hire somebody to evict them. And the only guy in East Point was like there's only one place where you can get the eviction done. And the guy charges a lot for removing
Yeah,
debris from the house.
3, right?
And it cost me like $5,000. So I sold the house there thereafter.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. I think I know a few of the others in the group this evening are turning units over, and like Anna
Yeah,
was saying,
I'm getting out of residential. I'm going in commercial. It's a lot easier.
yeah, I remember you saying that. And how's that working out? Have you started actually?
I'm replacing the roof on like 6,000 square feet of commercial.
Mm-hmm.
It's like $58,000.
Wow, yeah.
And then we're gonna do the inside, which will be about that much too. So we'll see. There's a lot of demand for 1,000 square foot units, and there's 4 of them. And then I got a 2,000 square foot unit. So seems like the demand's there.
Oh, that's good to know. Congratulations. Does it matter what like if you're renting out the spaces, are you just advertising the space, or are they set up for any kind of businesses already?
Well, it looks like retail, but you could do office.
Okay.
It could be anything really. The first person that's gonna sign is gonna be a tax preparer.
Okay.
And there's a interest with the church too, so we'll see. Um, yeah. I think it'll cost me like 160, 170 to fix it all up in the end with the HVAC and all that.
Okay.
The rents are like $1.30 a square foot for the 1,000 square feet
Mm-hmm.
ones, and then I could do like a double N or triple N on top of that. The taxes are crazy. It's like $4,000, but 4,500 total for per year.
For the whole building.
Well, yeah, for the 4,000 square foot one, and then it's 2,000 for the other one, and then they charge like a was it like a water drainage fee, and that's like $50 a month for each of the buildings per month. So yeah, it adds up real quick.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have better luck with the commercial.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. You don't have to deal with the tenants, and they don't have as much rights. And
Mm.
yeah, it's a lot simpler. And then, you get some of the double net, triple net. You get some of that money paid, at least for the taxes, the property taxes they'll pay, which is cool.
What does that term mean? Double net and triple net?
It's the amount of expenses that the tenant is responsible for. So you got single net, double net, triple net. So the ends determine how much they pay, how much they're responsible for, how many items they're responsible for.
Okay.
The triple just covers everything really, all the expenses, other than let's say the outside of the roof, the outside of the building or the roof. Everything else is covered by the tenant.
Okay.
Anything inside, they're responsible for. Any plumbing, any electrical, any stoppages in the sewer. So yeah, but it's a peace of mind, It's like you get your rent that's pretty much stated. You get the rent that way. You don't have to worry about the expenses.
Okay. Got it. But Michelle, that doesn't sound like too bad of a deal, right? Because now you're okay to do with the lot whatever you want, and you don't have to do a turnover.
Right. So remember on Monday we were talking about when I did the binder, I kind of left it open-ended, like, hey, let me know when you want to talk about. And so today I sent him a message saying, hey, just checking to see how going about the considering, what would be a good level. And he called me and was complaining about how hard his job was, and he was out there working, and I was like, I felt really bad, but still, like, hey, you're paying really low rent. So he said, what about if I go to 1,900? And I said, that's a little too low. So come up a little more. And he was like, oh, I'm pushing it, but okay, 2,000. And I still was like, I don't know, because I wanted 2,100.
Uh-huh.
I said, I don't know, things are around there going for 2,400, but you move out, but I'm going to spend money on fixing the place. And so still kind of 2,000 is not what I'm looking for. And he was like, well, I mean, I can afford 21, but everything's so expensive, and just be pushing it a little. And after I kind of went about the whole conversation, I said, okay, let's talk about this. If we agree that you're going to give up the lot move everything, and I'm gonna give you 3 months to do it. I'm not gonna just like push it on you, but I want to make sure that by this date, everything that you have laying all over that lot needs to be moved and neatly organized in a corner closer to your gate where I can start looking at what I'm going to do with that lot starting in January. And then if I am going to do something, I'll put a fence around that corner. But I want you to still maintain it. I want that grass all cut, and I want you to maintain it. If you can tell me that you can do that, then I'm okay with the 2,000. And he said, okay, yeah, no, yes, ma'am, yeah, of course. And I'm so thankful that you work with me this way. And I don't know that many people do this, and blah blah blah. And so I'm like, okay, well, we got to an agreement. I did say to him that depending on what rents were doing, that he should expect that something similar to this was going to happen next year. Because I want, rents continue to go up. I want him, closer to 2,200 in a year when he renews. So he was like, oh, that's what is going to go up like $400. I'm like, no, about 7%, which would be closer to 2,200. So, and then the year after we'll do just a 3%, depending on what the market is doing. But that's what I'm hoping for. And he said, okay, yeah, no problem. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So next year I gotta paint the whole place. I gotta, if I do end up developing that lot, I'm probably gonna spend about $30,000 to $35,000 putting asphalt in that drive. It's not their driveway. Their driveway is paved, but it's like a gravel road that it's just for the 4 houses that is in the little, I don't know if I could call it a cul-de-sac, but like a little dead end.
Mhm.
And so if I develop that lot, it'll be a 5th house, and it would just make sense to go ahead and paved. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that I did that. So, and then I told you guys on Monday I'm probably gonna have another turnover. They just kind of call and said what would be the process, and what would they be responsible for. And I said, well, if you work with me and I can rent it within 2 weeks of you leaving, then it's fine, because if I take 2 weeks to do the turnover, and that unit will rent quick, and for more. So
Mhm.
I'm okay. I'm okay with them moving. And I'm probably gonna, depending on how they leave it, because they have pets, so I gotta replace the carpet. But they were only there 2 years, so it's not like I don't know. We'll see, but I'm probably not gonna return their deposit. So, but I told you guys that I realized that 2 years ago when I rented to them, or when I got that unit, that duplex, I didn't have a good contract. There's nothing in there that says what they're responsible for if they leave, if they break the lease. So yeah, that's gonna be like, I'm just gonna be like, okay, bye guys. See you later. Thanks for being such good renters. They've been really good tenants. So I'm sad that they are leaving, but at the same time I kind of look forward to raising the rent now that I'm more confident on what I'm doing, and getting a good contract. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
Where's that
That's-
located?
I'm in the in Washington, in the Tacoma area. Kind of like where Dion invests. I'm a copycat of Dion.
It's a good area.
You're here in Washington, right?
Me, I'm in the Los Angeles area.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought you were here. I think there was another person that joins that beside Esther and Anna. They're also in the Washington area.
Yeah, there's a couple. Jacob hasn't been here for a while, but he's up there by you guys in Spokane specifically, I believe.
Josh is, yeah, Josh too.
And Josh, yeah. And Esther.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll see. And I think I told you guys about the off-market property. Does anyone in the Tacoma area would like to buy a single family home that it's got an assumable loan? And my heart is soft with this lady. And so yesterday I spoke to the wholesaler and the lady, and she cried. It was just so hard. Oh, she doesn't want to leave her house, but she can't afford it. And it doesn't so it would only, and I think I told you guys on Monday, it'll only make sense if I'm able to convert it into a legal duplex. But I cannot convert it into a legal duplex because it's in an HOA.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a stretch. I haven't backed out completely. I said, let's see what it would take for the financing, like if I can assume the loan. But I still, and I want to see more documents. So they sent me something on DocuSign today to kind of start the process. And so I got to see if there's enough contingencies in there that I can move forward a little bit, not for too long, because I don't want to negatively impact the lady, but I want to see like really how much is the loan, which they have a screenshot on some of the posts that the guy has. So I know the loan it's about $2,700, the PD. And if I rent it by room, just the parking situation would be a nightmare. But I was thinking maybe I just move downstairs and live in the same, in the downstairs area myself, and then rent the upstairs 3 rooms without splitting it, just like a roommate situation up in the the second floor, the 3 rooms. And that could pay most of the mortgage. And then I would move out eventually and then rent the downstairs also to roommates. And that would be 5 cars. I can make it work with 5 cars. People would just have to be willing to let each other out, because there'll be 2 cars in the garage, 2 cars in the driveway, and then a car kind of park on the curb. So we'll see. I'm not turning it away, but if someone in the Tacoma area would like an off-market assumable loan, that if you have a big family and want roommates, that it would work. It's got 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and 2-car garage. And the HOA is very friendly. I don't know if that exists, but it's 26 houses. And the lady keeps saying that the HOA is very friendly. You're not going to have any problems. They're okay with the parking, on the curb, even though the HOA documents say no. And there is some overflow parking in the property. So the HOA is only $50, and it covers the road, the lighting, and a pond that is part of the development. So it's not like a really, like the HOA isn't going to be like they're not going to have a huge assessment because they need to replace the roofs or anything like that. They're not maintaining that. You're still responsible for your own property. So same with the lawn, and they were saying that they're not like, if you're not, you don't keep it manicured, they're not like super picky about that. But that would be another consideration. Not only would I be responsible for the utilities, I'm also going to have to go cut the grass. So unless I want to pay someone, and there goes my, yeah, the more I talk about it, the more I'm going to read the DocuSign and go, oops, I don't know. I don't think so.
You're going to talk yourself out of it. But did
Yeah.
you also say the loan right now was at 3.75?
The loan is at 3.75, and it's the starting of the loan, so it's got still 27 years on the loan. It's a VA loan that is assumable, and the person that opened the loan passed away, so they're not going to reuse the benefit, obviously. So I think that I
was
didn't
gonna-
know that. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, hi Michelle. I was gonna
Hi, Sam.
say, hi everyone. I was gonna say, yeah, it's first is in HOA, so that's kind of like if you rent by room. I mean, is that something that they accept? And then if you have neighbors and there's 5 cars, would they tell the HOA? And if the HOA knows if that's a strategy you're gonna do, and they say at the end, maybe you cannot rent by room, then that's a road blocker. But if that's the only strategy
Yeah.
you're thinking of, but I also heard that some HOAs are more relaxed, and like you said, especially those that are with old homes and old HOAs. This neighborhood has been there for a while. Like you said, was it $50 a year or $50? What is it? $50 a
It's
month or
$50 a month.
$50 a month though? So that's yeah. So and is the neighborhood old, or is it new?
It's the houses were built in 2002, 2004. It's a timeline that they
So
were built.
it's not too old. Okay. Yeah, so I would be careful with that because of the HOA. And I mean, just one other way, you can also test it. If you drive that HOA, and if you see, let's say you see a couple of houses that they have a lot of cars in the garage or the driveway, and it seems like HOA is okay with that, then they might be okay with you. So I always drive the neighborhood or look at the neighborhood and see what others are doing that I want to do, and if I find some similarities, I would say, well, that means it's possible here, and if it's possible, then I can do it.
Yeah, the lady said yesterday that there's another neighbor that bought and rented by room, so rented with roommates or lived there with roommates for about 2 years, and then he moved to Hawaii and rented his room, and basically his whole rented out by room. There are several I mean, when I drove it, there was a lot of cars, a lot. There was some houses that you could tell there's only one family. There were no cars in front, or maybe there was one car, which was the case of the lady that is selling. But there were several, at least 3, if not 4, that there were cars in every spot possible.
And
I didn't.
yeah, that's
Go ahead.
great. Oh, I was going to say that's great.
Yeah, I didn't see this, but she said there's even someone that, because it's only 26 houses, that there's someone that his son has a van. He lives in the van and works, that drives the van to work. And so he goes to work during the day and he comes back home, and then the dad pulls a extension cord and he plugs in and parks in the van and lives, sleeps in the van. So they're
Oh, wow.
aware that this stuff is happening. And they're, I guess, okay with it. As what she said is, come on Friday, come and talk to the HOA, because they have a meeting. It's like if they like you, then everything's fine. I'm like, oh, that's not fun. That's not good. What if as soon as I decide, because I'm only buying to as an investment, and I make sure I told her that. I said, every time I buy a property, I have to look at what it's going to produce and how I'm going to pay for it that doesn't come out of my pocket. And so I said that is my plan, and it's not any different with your home. I will live there with roommates for as long as I can. And so she said, oh yeah, that'll be fine. I said, the only problem is there's only parking for 5 cars. That's it. So if I'm gonna have a bunch of roommates with 5 bedrooms, it doesn't work. There's not enough space for so many cars. So
You can also
anyway.
go to Google. Yeah, you can also go to Google and look at previous, previous photos in the neighborhood. Well, no, maybe not. It will show you the previous photos of the house, but if it doesn't show you the a street view from long time ago, let's say, so you can see if that situation of the cars were the same over the years, or is it just recently? But I don't think that's possible because Google Street View is recent, so it's just one. I think it's one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the little subdivision is not there's no Google photos of the
Well, oh, that's good.
subdivision.
That means they're stuck. Nobody's gonna buy it.
Oh, I know. I feel so bad. She's already moving out.
So Google didn't
And
arrive there, so that's good.
yeah, she's already moving out. Oh, I'm surprised there's pools in these backyards.
Huh.
Yeah.
One question I have, Michelle, and to everyone, if you're talking to an owner and you want to buy or assume a loan, what is the best way to know? Like, is there a website you go to tell you that this is how much they have paid off of the loan, and this what is left? It just kind of gives you an idea if you want to do either assuming the loan or maybe do owner financing, and to have an idea if the house is paid off, or is it half paid maybe, or is it just has mortgage that's still going on for a while. And does anyone know a resource like that?
Yes, and there's a website called the Assume List. It uses some public data and also it scrapes. I'm not exactly sure how they scrape, but the big thing to know is if you're going to try to assume a loan, if it's FHA or a VA assumption, whatever the difference between the loan and the sales prices, you have to find a way to come up with that money. You cannot put a second mortgage on the property. I tried a loan assumption for a property that was like the balance was 800. They wanted $1 million. So I tried to talk them down to 950 because then I would have been able to do it. But they weren't willing to budge. And they tried to go with another offer that said they were going to do a second mortgage. However, the underwriting guidelines don't allow that. But a creative way that you could get around that is if you do a HELOC or refinance one of your other properties, you could then do that. But I think it'd be hard to qualify for a VA program or an FHA assumption if you have other primary residences or other investment properties, because they might question, wait a second, why are you going to this? But Assume List is really good. And from what I've looked on it seems like the areas that have the most available assumptions are pretty much military areas because of the higher VA usage. Like San Diego has a shit ton, Jacksonville, like any military areas will have a lot of assumable loans. The only issue for most people is whatever the difference of the loan and the sales price is, you have to come up with it. So if they bought 2021 where they had like a 2.99 rate, they also had prices that were significantly less. So you might have to come out 200,000 in order to buy it. And that might be more than your down payment would be if you were to do a conventional with the current rates. And there's a lot of intricacies in that. Like the property that I looked at to try to take over the assumptions, they ended up going with, like I said, another offer, but then that fell through because they were trying to do a second mortgage, even though that's not legally allowed. But it it can be a headache because if you find a great rate, unless they bought it maybe the end of 2022 or before the rates really went high, the price appreciation makes it to where you're almost going to be putting a conventional down payment down just to assume the rate.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. So that website is called Assumeless. Is that by the county or is it just
That's a
as a
private company.
private? Oh, so it's
I'm
a
not
private.
sure who they use to scrape their data from, though. I just noticed that it seems like a lot of military areas have more assumable stuff. And then, like, I live in Jersey, there wasn't very much for Jersey assumable in the multifamily space. So it just really depends. Or you could also, if use Trulia and put FHA or assumable in the key terms, see if anything pops up that way. But then you'll get stuff like even solar panels or stuff like that, where you have to assume the loan as well for the panels versus an assumable mortgage. Most people aren't going to, or most realtors aren't going to want to deal with it unless there's no other option, just because it's a big hassle on the person's end versus like a traditional or even like a FHA offer. It's more on the back end.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I was looking for something local in the county that may give me that info, but that website is another resource. So yeah, thanks for sharing.
No problem.
Mitesh, did you see that question for you from Brett? Where are you buying commercial at?
Oh, Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
What part of Detroit, Nitesh?
I got one. Do you know the area at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Still
Okay.
learning it, but yeah.
Okay, let me kind of like let me go to my map. Let me see here.
Is it downtown near like the
No.
sports?
No, it's not downtown. It's like where 75 and it's like near north of Lincoln Park, south of Boynton,
Okay.
on the Fourth Street, FRT.
4th Street. Okay.
Yeah, it's like south of Boynton, west of Ecorse, west of River Lounge, southeast of Melvindale, north of Lincoln Park, east of Allen Park.
East of Allen Park. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the west. That's called West Detroit. And then East Detroit. Let me see here. I got two that are next to each other. Like the two buildings are separated by like 1 centimeter. So I'm redoing the whole roof on just both of them, both at once. The other ones are, so those are located like morass moraine area, Yorkshire Woods, East
Okay.
Detroit, east of Denby, east of Maple Ridge, northwest of East English Village, southwest of
Okay.
Harper Woods.
Southwest of Harper Woods. Okay, I see it on the map. I see Yorkshire Woods. I see Denby. I see Maple Ridge and Morass, Morang.
Yeah, it's like
And
directly
it's like
east of Denby and directly southwest of Harper Woods.
southwest of Harper Woods. Is it along I-94 or is it
No,
more
no,
in?
it's it looked like a few blocks, like I want to say like where Cadillacs and Moraine Avenue meet, north of Whittier, south of Morass Road.
Okay. So, and that's the whole area over there is like an industrial area, is what it sounds like.
I don't know. There's like a church on the other side, and there's some retail. There's a lot of retail there and office, which I hear is all booked, so that's a good sign.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I had been looking at, and I think when was it June? Yeah, like May, June timeframe when we went up there, like we did a tour of like the entirety of Detroit and Metro Detroit. So we probably had passed through there. I know we went along I-94. That's why I was asking about that because when you were mentioning some of the roads, I was like, I remembered seeing some of those sign names. So okay,
Yeah,
so
my West Detroit property is in a better area, but that's an office space, and you make less rent on office. This one's retail, and so it should be bringing in, even though it's in East Detroit, which is the worst. This is an up and coming area, um, but
Mhm.
since it's retail, I can make more than office.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I see like, yeah, so with like Yorkshire Woods and then like Outer Drive, Hayes. So all of that in through there. Um, yeah, I don't remember much about that particular area because we spent most of the time um looking in like Metro Detroit and mostly in uh areas a little bit further west, like um everything west of, well west of Hamtramck and Highland Park. It was more, um, gosh, I can remember it now. Like Livonia.
Oh,
So that's
Livonia,
like,
that's like a higher end place.
yeah, it was like Livonia and then sort of like the outer band, so to speak, along, um, what was that? Like
Yeah, the
north of,
further you go from downtown Detroit, typically it's better.
yeah, yeah, like the most of the Metro Detroit areas, and then of course once you get like all the way outside of Wayne County and into Oakland County, that's where like the prices like basically just skyrocket. Like they just literally like just point up and like somebody shot it out of a rocket. Like
Hmm.
it's insane up there. Oh, the other place was like Royal Oak Charter, and then a little bit further north. So like we went like literally all over the entirety of the city from Livonia all the way to Grosse Pointe Shores. So we saw a lot on that trip. So that's why I was asking when you had mentioned um um that you said that you found either. Wait, did you already have properties or are you about to close on them?
No, these are I've had them since end of last year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so now it's like I'm fixing them up. I've already had the West one in West Detroit that's been rented out. It's been 3 months, 2 months, 2 or 3 months now.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Okay. And how much different in general of a process is it from let's just call it traditional sort of whether it be single or multifamily, just like, renting to, um tenants for, shelter's sake.
Commercial versus residential, it's the same process. You're bringing in somebody that's going to be reliable. So usually you want to take your time to find. I think for commercial, it's a little harder to find people because there's less of them. Um, but yeah, I think it takes longer to find a commercial renter. Um, when that's got the income, the credit, and so forth. So I would say, yeah, it takes longer to find a good renter, but I think once you have somebody, um, it's a lot easier after that.
Hey, this is this is Chris.
Like I've gotten no calls or anything ever since I've been it's been rented. Although there's a leak. Apparently now there's a leak in the roof, so I'm having somebody go look at that, and I might just replace the whole roof on that one.
Okay. Chris, were
Hey,
you
this
about
is-
to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, like, I not by design, trying to, but I had two deals where I had to pick up a commercial property, to get the residential stuff I wanted. So I have two, and I would echo the point we just heard, and that, a lot longer. I mean, obviously, it depends on the type of asset. Is it just general office space? But I've got very nichey stuff. I've got a catering hall, and I've got a Victorian house that was converted into a high-end resort, like a high-end like spa, right? Like hair, nails, feet, massage, whatever. And they were part of a larger portfolio deal that I had to take them. And it's been compared to my residentials, where if I go a week or more than a week or two trying to get a new renter, that's unusual. But these are going to take months, if not quarters, to fill. And the good news is, once they're in there and they build businesses, they're kind of committed to that geography. I mean, unless you do a transitory business like a massage studio, tattoo, and they can move overnight, not a big deal. But
Have you rented any of them so far?
yeah, so we've got one of them just finished construction, the catering hall, and we're going to put it back in the market. The guy who used to have it before we updated it is kind of interested, and the spa has been tough. That's been in the market for 6 months. We just found somebody who wanted to do it. But the good news, like, you're talking a minimum of a 3-year lease, but frankly, once they're embedded, it tends to go quite a while. Obviously, you've got the risks of, I mean, what do they say? Like 30 to 50% of small businesses fail in the first couple of years. So that, you gotta, I mean, to Matt's point, like, poking a little bit at the, like, the veracity of the business is probably not a bad idea. But the only other thing that we didn't talk about is a lot of these tenants, the big negotiation is less on rent, I'm finding, because you can do benchmarks and figure out what the cost per square foot is for that type of asset. The bigger thing is what, like, tenant improvement, meaning, like, they're like, well, we want it configured this way, and you negotiate what's called TI, or tenant improvement dollars. So, for example, on the spa, it's lovely, but it's not the style that they want, and they're like, well, we want this tile floor ripped up, we want this and that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, right? But I want them as a tenant, so I'll be like, look, you've got to have skin in the game. I'm going to give you $10,000 of tenant improvement funds, and beyond that, you cover it on your own. And the more TI I give, the more the rent is, right? So, and look, I'm learning this real time, so I'm the opposite from an expert, but it's been quite a journey, and I will, if I can help it, not do any more commercial real estate. I want to get these rented, and I don't want to do this ever again, because it's a pain in the ass. Sorry.
So I've done 1-year leases, and yeah, I'm on target of, for these other ones. I'm gonna do 1 year, just because it's easier. In terms of tenant improvements, I've kind of floated that out there, but it seems like people don't want to do the repairs themselves. They just want to move in, which is what I've seen.
Yeah, I think it depends. It depends on the tenant, right? I mean, like, I think, we had a guy
Yeah,
who's got a
definitely
company,
depends.
he just wants office space, and he had pretty minimal asks, as
Yeah, like
opposed to like
a
specialty
general
resale, right?
space, a general space, people would just want to move in because
Yeah,
they don't have a construction background either, and they don't want to get into it. So
yeah,
it's up to me to fix it up and then rent it out. It's one less headache for the renter, really. And that's what I've found, because I've put it out there, and I said, I'm going to give you free rent if you come in, you fix it up yourself, blah blah blah. But I didn't get anybody to take on that. Plus, people that are interested, they don't have a construction background, so it's pretty tough to do
yeah.
it that way.
You're on mute, Frank.
Yeah, Frank, you're still on mute.
I was trying to be quiet. Thank you, guys. And I was just reading Esther's question, how to switch property managers. How is it affecting the tenants and how's the paperwork transferred? Has anybody done that yet?
Was
No? I have.
oh
I was gonna say, Esther, that when one of the units that we bought in St. Louis had a tenant, a Section 8 tenant already. So I would imagine the process is similar, but basically, I let the old property manager know who we were going to be using, and the property management companies between themselves, they transferred all the paperwork, and the only real thing was that where the rents were going to go, from now on, that changed. But I don't think the tenants were really affected. It was I would say it was easy for the second one. The first time we did it, we fired the property manager, and then they were a little hesitant to give all the information over to the new people. They were just dragging their feet. So I think we've spoken on this before, that you try to keep the relationship, even if you're going to fire somebody, try to keep it as professional as possible, and that way they won't hold a grudge, I guess, against you when they're supposed to give all the information over to your new PM. Are you considering switching in Indiana?
No, this is for Eastern Washington.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a small city, but not many property managers actually. Yeah. So it's like we have one turnover and they're dragging their feet to make the rent ready. So they hire a vendor to clean up the house, but the vendor is like overcharging, and I thought I'm selecting the items that they're supposed to do, and the other items we can do it ourselves to save money. But they're not communicating very well. So the items that I was gonna do, they already did it, and the items that they're supposed to do, like cleaning refrigerator, that still have food inside. They should take them out right away, but they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so like the lock, rekeying the lock, they say rekeying the lock, and I assume that locksmith can do it without changing the lock, replacing the existing lock, and they replace the lock with the cheap one. So I'm complaining about that, and then taking a long time for them to do the work. So I'm just about to fire them actually. Yeah. So I don't know. I think in another way.
How do you find the better one though?
Yeah, so I'm looking into the other people, other property managers also, but it's not really this one. The one that I have is the biggest one in the city. So yeah, so I mean they want me to do it for their term, and I want the house clean. I want the house make ready as soon as possible. And I'm trying to say, I'm saying to them, okay, if you can't do it a certain time, and when I go to the area, I go there almost every weekend. Actually, I have another house, and I can do it. I have no problem doing it. But they're not making decisions. So, and by the time I get there, things not done. And in the weekend, they're off. They don't pick up the phone. they're pretty much off, and I'm thinking, what am I paying these people for? You know, if I don't have this problem, what am I paying? You know,
So do you live in the area?
I live in Seattle, and it's about 3 hours drive.
Oh,
I have
wow.
another home in Eastern Washington. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I would just have to rely on other people that are renting their place to get a referral, really. That's the best way of doing it
Mhm.
for
the
property management.
referral from
From other landlords, I think, as far as who they use for property management.
Go through the group and see who's renting in that area, who has properties in the area, and ask them.
yeah. So basically, my houses are pretty easy. It's pretty much no maintenance, but this is the first time a
The
lot of
problem is
work.
if you only have like one house, no property manager wants to deal with you.
What you're saying?
If you just have one house, the property managers don't really want to deal with you. That's the
I
tough
have
part.
5 houses there.
5 houses, and they're all
Yeah.
under the same property
Yeah.
manager.
Mhm.
Wow, so they're gonna lose a lot of business then.
Yeah, I mean, we get good tenants, but apparently this one that's left is leaving a lot of garbage inside the house. So really need to be cleaned. And they're saying that, oh, we have other houses also need to take care. Okay, just tell me which one and when you guys can do the work. And yeah, so I just want to get it ready. So I'm considering to
I mean,
switch the
if they're good with the other stuff, just hire your own service and get it over with.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna say too, because we're the property manager again in St. Louis. I mentioned we really like them a lot, but they have been busy, and we have 3 properties we're trying to turn over. So I'm hiring, like I hired my own roofer and I hired a plumber and different things like that. So you should be able just to go and if you need a cleaning service, go ahead and hire them. And I think it could end up being a little bit less because our property manager tells us all the time that they're happy to get estimates and have work done, but they put 12% on top. So
Mine is not actually. And yeah, the price is pretty reasonable. It's just like it's really frustrating that the work that's supposed to be done it
Well,
not
you're
get
losing money on
done.
not renting it.
And then they're off in the weekend. They're not reachable in the weekend. And it's like, can you be more flexible? It's like, why I don't usually have anything. I mean, months and months and months, I don't have anything to bother you in the weekend.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think many of them are available on the weekends. I don't even really count on that.
Yeah, like in Gary, the one in Gary, there, even though they say weekend is off, but still answering
Hmm.
my text. So anyway, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm also considering maybe I don't need property managers.
Yeah, if you're going to start doing stuff on your own, maybe, like Dion is using Hemlane, and I think with the different tiers available, you could probably do something similar.
Mm-hmm.
Save a little bit of money.
I get to know this one landscaper guy. He's really nice. He did a lot of things other than landscaping, actually, like cleaning house and like make rent ready. And I was gonna hire him if if this didn't, if they couldn't tell me when they can get the work done in the house. So finally they say, okay, they have people working in my house today. So yeah, so
Hey, Esther, can you hear me? Can people hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is Anna, Esther.
yeah.
I'm going through the vacancy right now and dealing with the property management company here in Olympia too. That pretty frustrating. The only thing is that my property management company doesn't, and I only have 2 doors. It's only one duplex that they have. But I would speak up as if I have 10 units because I pay for it. But just like a Ricky's, they have it on the list, and they have Ricky the change the garage door code, and then they have my property management company doesn't have anybody on payroll, on like a maintenance wise, so they have to contract out everything, and they changed the management, and it looks like this time they hired a professional move out inspector. I mean, 200-page inspection report came back. And then I went through that, and there was a mix and fix and all that, and it's costing me a lot of money now. So I had to contest what I want, what I don't think, and then I can't really leave it to the property management company because they're moving so slow. It's gonna take months before they can get to everything. So I made a list and I told them that I was gonna go through this. But before I did it, they already have a list for preferred handyman that they use all the time. And things like routine, changing the garage code, removing the item from the shelf, and removing the fire extinguisher that was left in a cupboard. I mean, those are something that I can just pick it up and I just did it. Or changing the batteries in the fire alarm. I did that first thing, instead of me paying for that handyman because it's on me. I have to pay for it. And it was just ridiculous. And but anyhow, long story short, I'm dealing with it and then bugging on them, calling them, emailing them, and it says, "Hey, I already did this, I already did that," and finally they got my message that, okay, give me the list of things that I want the handyman to do. So I'm gonna go through that. It's just a lot of work just to manage them, I guess. Is that what you're experiencing too, Esther?
Yeah, they're just not responding. They say we're busy, and and
There
I
is
mean,
a person that I deal with for the repairs, but it looks like there's another gal lady who is managing the move out inspection. And between them, it's very difficult to even communicate. One's more of, office type kind of person that, okay, I want this, I want that. When do you want me to do this and do that? And then I'm like, okay, listen, I'm trying to have this decision whether I'm going to change the type of surroundings or not. So I can't really tell you. The painter has to come after that, and then the electrician has to be after painter. All those things I try to coordinate like I'm trying to teach them that, this is how things need to be done because, there are things that I want for the property to be done more than just, and then there are less things than they want me to do. But I think when I retire, I think I'm going to take it over. But learning so much by managing the property manager so that I can get this the turnover done the way I want. as quickly as I can without paying by minimizing my cost. The only thing that I think good about this property management is that they are really good about showing up on the tenants, which may not be a very good thing, but they actually secure the fund to repaint the whole house inside. That tenant's gonna have to pay for it, and I felt so bad, but because I didn't think about it, I wouldn't say anything because they did the that one taken care of.
What
It's-
area is that in?
Huh?
What city is that in?
I'm in Olympia, Washington.
Oh, another Washington.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Esther. In
It's gonna be hard to find a good property manager in those high demand areas.
Yeah, mine's smaller property management company. There's pros and cons. I'm with them because they don't have anybody on their payroll. So that means I can pretty much intervene whenever they hire somebody to do the repair. I can,
Yeah, but
I
it also costs you more for the simple stuff.
It does, yeah. But the handyman that they use, they don't charge a whole lot. It's like almost like a payroll. I don't know how he gets that. But yeah, I don't know. Good and bad. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just some
Well,
areas are just tough. For example, in I got a good one in North Carolina near in Monroe, which is next to Charlotte. And I don't have to spend a single second on my property. Everything's taken care of. Compared to the ones in Detroit I had were horrible. They were like fraudulent. So
yeah.
um,
I think it's pros and cons. You just kind of have to know it because I do have a couple properties in Alabama where property management company with the full-time maintenance crew take care of it, and then I had few problems with them, but it's just yeah, I don't know when it comes to overturn. There are a lot of things that I can do on my own, and I don't want people to take care of it, and it's just hard.
Hey, Anna.
Yeah.
Anna, is this the first turnover for you with this
Oh
property?
no,
Huh?
no.
No? Okay, mine is the first one. I think I'm gonna make a plan how to do the turnover, how to, they say they can do everything, but they'll do it at their time.
Yeah, I have this
The house
property for 12. I have this property for 12 years, and this is not the first one. I
Okay.
know inside out of this house, and we've done so much work, and then if they say something needs to be done, and I have to remind them, hey, look, that has been done. That cannot be done. That cannot be that bad. Just because I have them right at the backyard, but
How
I'm still
long
running.
how long does it take to get them to do the work, to get the rent ready?
If it's a minimum, it was supposed to be like maybe a couple weeks, maybe, but
Mm.
I wanted to get some other stuff done, so I'm kind of pushing the envelope a little bit at my own expenses, I guess. But just because I'm so close to retiring, I wanted to get some of the things done, instead of postponing it as a surprise later. That's one of the problems. But yeah,
Do you do repainting every
I-
time turnover?
I did the kitchen repainting, the cabinets done. I'm thinking probably
Cleaning,
yeah.
cleaning the cabinet.
No, not the cleaning the cabinet. Well, I cleaned it up before I painted. I repainted the cabinet.
Oh, so you repaint it.
Yeah, I did
Repaint
it.
okay. That's a lot
Yeah.
of work, yeah.
Yeah, 4 days, 3 days of my time on weekend. It looks much nicer now, and so I don't have to worry about replacing them for another probably. I'm joking that demolishes, but yeah, I want to take care of the pub surroundings. It looks really dinky, but I'm waiting for the um I'm waiting for the right chord, and I may just go ahead and caulk it and then let it go this time. But it's just all about the money.
So that's for the bathroom. Caulking for bathroom. Anna.
Oh, she may be gone. Yeah, she's considering redoing the surround in the tub and refinishing the tub.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Mine is not that much actually. The bathroom is clean. I mean, need to be cleaned. Like the toilet, the sink. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I was just surprised that they said they're gonna get it done, and then they take their time. I was just on the top of them, like I can't do it. So, yeah.
If they don't do the good job, at least like a cleaning, it's just fine.
Yeah. I will see this weekend how they do the cleaning. They said the cleaner came today, this afternoon. So yeah, there are some spill on the floor, juice in those things under the fridge. And the fridge, we took out the food. We can't stand it. The food get rotten in there. We took out last weekend, put in the trash can.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling her that we're helping you guys. So.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone,
I mean, like Matt said before, I remember that nobody care about your property other than yourself.
Right.
Right.
Sorry, I guess I pay too much attention just because it's here by my house. But the ones in Alabama, I just let it go and just hope, just rent it out as quickly as you can. It doesn't matter. The ones here is yeah.
Yeah, but I really need to get the house clean, the carpet clean, So finally she said that, okay, I will have the cleaner by tomorrow, should be done, and then the carpet cleaner will come on Monday. Okay, I say it's fine.
Yeah.
So I'll just trust her to do the work.
Yeah.
Looks like we had a couple new people jump in this week. Heather, are you there? Maybe not. How about you, Charlie? You've been here before.
Yeah, I've just been busy working, and I'm curious on what everybody's thought is on being in a potentially negative cash flow or sort of house hack. Because a property I am looking at right now, it has two tenants significantly under market rents by about $1,200-$1,300. Where if I could get them up there, that'd be great. But the problem is one of them is a Section 8 tenant, and in this area, you can only raise the rent around the anniversary, and you have to give 120 days notice. So I can't raise the rent until about 10, 11 months in. And it's currently 1850 when market should be closer to 27 to 2900.
Wow.
And it's just one of the units is open. It would be about 69 to 7,100, with gross rents being $8 grand of everything included currently, but that's very little room for vacancy and maintenance. So I was wondering what everyone's thought is on that, because it's just being 1,300 under market's a good bit of a difference. And I'm still not 100% certain because the area, while it's not rent controlled, New Jersey as a whole has a no unreasonable rent increase catch-all. So it's kind of a challenge from that aspect.
Here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So, so this is a place you're considering buying? You haven't bought it yet?
Charlie, you're on mute. There you go. Oh, just went back on mute.
Is that better? Okay,
there we
sorry.
go.
I didn't realize I was on mute. But so the rents can't be adjusted for about 10 months in one of the units, and that unit's about 800 to 1,000 under market.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure if it'd be worth taking the gamble because there's also a slight change in Jersey and a few other larger metros where HUD uses fair market rents. For most areas, it's the countywide or metro-wide, whereas Jersey City will now be under small area fair market rent. And so it's going to go down from 2,900 for a 3-bedroom to this specific zip code is going to go to 2,570. So I'm not sure if that's going to also screw me a year from now, because if 2 of the units rents are going to go down 400 a piece, that makes it to where it's barely cash flowing. And with any sort of maintenance or reserve issues or vacancies, it's going to be a negative for the first deal.
Yeah, seems like it's pretty tight. So
Yeah.
when you say it would barely cash flow, is that with expenses taken out or not?
So I try to estimate that the current 3 apartments rented are 6,050. Market would be closer to 73, maybe 7,700. And then the unit that's open is a 2-bed, 1-bath. For the area, I would say 2,000 is on the higher end. So if I live there and say I'm chipping in 1,800, I'll, even though I'm not actually going to be paying rent to myself, I'll throw that sort of as a reserve. So overall, I'll be making 7,800, but then the mortgage is about 7, and that 800 a month, I think, is kind of low for repairs and vacancy on a property that's almost $1 million.
And you'd be managing yourself.
Yeah. So even if I move out, then that's going to be another expense, and it's almost no wiggle room there either. But if I can get it to market rent or just up in general, that'd be great. It's just from people I've talked to from the area, the housing authority is very tight. And I listened to a few different meetings, and one of the questions was, oh, what happens if somebody hasn't raised rent in a few years? And they're like, well, that's on the landlord for mismanaging it, even though it benefits the housing authority by them keeping their vouchers lower.
So it sounds like to get the rents where you want them, you'd have to, well, if you have to wait till that lease ends, you couldn't get rid of that one tenant anyway to raise the rents to market rent, right? It seems kind of.
I can't even I hate to say get rid of them, but I can't even, because in Jersey, anything over a 3-family, you have to have a certain reasons to remove a tenant, and you can't even say you want to renovate and kick someone out. If you want to do that, I think it's an 18-month notice, something crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that seems like a pretty skinny deal. And if, like you're saying, if the fair market rents are going to drop or could potentially drop next year, you'd be kind of in a pickle.
Yeah. And the house has been on the market for about 40, 45 days now. So I was hoping I could possibly negotiate down, but they don't seem to be interested.
Uh-huh. Did you say what is the sale price or their asking price now?
999,
Okay.
so just under a million,
Mhm.
but it
And how
seems
much
very
rent are you
skinny.
getting monthly?
So I'm going to say about 7,900 because the current 3 units are 6,050, but I'll be living in the fourth, and I'm gonna chip in 1,750 to reserve slash partially pay the rent. But the problem is, if I can't raise those rents, when I move out, if I get property management or anything, it's definitely going to be cash flow negative. And also, I'm not even putting that much aside for maintenance at that point because the mortgage would be about 7, gross rents is 77, 700 for $1 million property is not that much for maintenance.
Did you already, Charlie, said that? Did you say that why the current rent is going down, the HUD rent is going down?
Yeah, so HUD has like in the end of 2023, they said that they were adding 41 metro areas, and Jersey City happened to be one of them. And so the countywide 3 bedroom rent used to be 28, very currently is 28.55, but they're changing it to where every zip code in the county has its own separate thing. And the zip code where I'm looking at, it's on the lower end of rent, so it would be potentially dropping to 50 or 25.70, but I don't know if they're actually going to drop people or not. No one's really certain on what that answer is. The housing department said, like I called the entry level receptionist people, had no idea if that would happen or not, and I don't know, like if an $800 swing is a big difference on the deal, since it's already barely working, and I was kind of hoping to raise rents, but that could swing things in the 1850 rent isn't going to go up much higher. And then one of the tenants is 2,900 and they might go down. So it might be a wash even. And with inflation, it's not great.
And I was going to ask, that's why, because in my county, even though I'm different state, they are now the FMR is going by zip codes, and it used to be last year. It used to be by county, and now it's every zip code has its own FMR rate, and so
Have you
that's
known of
what.
people to lose out on that yet? Or no? Do you not know of anyone where that's happened? Because that's what I'm worried about, because 2 of the units are currently Section 8, and they're the units that would be the worst impact, because the 2 bedroom units, fair market rent was 23, and it would only go down to 21. So that's not that big of a deal. But the 3-bed units for countywide used to be 28.55, and they'd be going to 25.70 or roughly negative 325 a piece.
That's a big difference. That's a big difference. Do you know by in general, is Jersey gaining new population or losing population? Do you know?
Jersey City in general has been doing relatively well, I would say, and this property vacancy is extremely low, but I'm not sure how much of the population is us gaining versus people just moving out of New York City, because Jersey City is pretty bad with rent, but it's just a lot of people that are moving to the area are all like coming from New York City and so forth. So it's not so much that we're gaining, it's just overflow from New York City.
Yeah. That's a reason for the rent to go up, not down. But I'm not sure why it's doing what it's doing. Maybe just the area, the zip code there.
So it's because the county itself is going up, but Jersey City, where I'm looking at, it's more suburban than it is city. Like some of the areas with the high rises and everything, their fair market rents for the zip code is going to be like $4,300 to $4,800, which is ridiculous for a 3-bedroom. But I happen to be looking at a property in the area that's a more suburb of the city, is where it's like maybe 2 to 3 story buildings, small multifamilies versus like high rises and everything like that.
Yeah, and I think your state, like I'm in Texas, I think you have a high taxes, right? So you have to account for that as well.
Surprisingly, the taxes weren't that bad. It was only 8,300, which I was very surprised by. And
Oh, that's pretty good.
yeah, but I'm not 100% sure on why, because I've seen similar properties where their assessed values are higher, but they've sold for less. So I don't know if that's something that's going to be an issue. But from what I've researched, Jersey City has only adjusted their taxes like 3 times in the like the assessed values 3 times in the last 40 years. And the last time they did was like 3-4 years ago. So I don't expect taxes to change all that much.
You have to account also with the new purchase price that they may increase your taxes because they if the property that what I learned is that with the property that hasn't been sold for a while, they will use the neighbors in the neighborhood. But if once that property is sold, they will use the purchase price, and so you may want to be careful there as well. But that's how they do it in my county, and I'm in Texas, north of Houston. But it might be
Jersey's different. It's normally
it might be different.
Yeah, because from the people I've talked to, they said it's not going to change, but sometimes it's town dependent. Like some of the suburbs, every time a property is sold, then it'll change. But from the people I've talked to in Jersey City, it shouldn't change. But I don't know that things could have changed, but the investors I've talked to said it likely won't.
Okay, that's everything. Yeah.
Charlie, I have a question. Did you say that you made an offer on it already and they weren't interested?
Yeah, so I made an offer at $1 million, then I raised it slightly. They came to me, and then I figured out that I couldn't adjust the rents for about a year, and then I requested a concession, but then they said no. But it's been sitting on the market still at the 45-day mark.
Are you going through a
And,
buyer's agent or did you call the listing agent directly?
I did not like the listing agent's presentation and representations of the property. When I went to the open house, I stayed around a little bit, only saw 3-4 other people, but he made it seem like there was crazy amounts of interest for the property, but it didn't seem like that. As well as when I asked him about like one of the apartments panels, he just counted up the breakers and said, "Oh, it's a 185 amp panel," and that's generally not how electrical panels will work. There might be 200 amps of breakers, but the main panel for a 2-bedroom apartment is either going to be 60 or 100 in our area. So by him grossly misrepresenting or just being uninformed with that, I didn't want to use him because he's incentivized to get the greatest price, because if he double ends it, it's great for him. But there was just certain things that he didn't know that made me not confident in him representing me. Or am I wrong to think that that way of assessing a panel's
Just where my head was is if you kind of write up the math on what you're making, and you can say it's negative cash flow, and if you present an offer, right, the agent is has a fiduciary duty to present that offer to the seller. And if you say, hey, if I pay $1 million for it, I'm negative. Here's an offer that makes sense to me. You know, that's a lot of these things kind of come down to that, right? It's what makes sense to you, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they realize that, but I think because I raised the offer, they're now upset, or they think I'll still go with that because just the difference in rents and so forth.
Right. Was it a verbal offer or a written offer?
The one was verbal and then the other was written. Because
So
the
are you-
written one was lower. But
Okay.
they're making it seem as they have other interests, but I don't believe they do. Based
Right.
on
So are you in due diligence right now?
yeah, and part of the problem was when we found our contract when they gave us the contracts, that's when we discovered we can't raise the rents for the next like give or take 9-10 months because of the housing authority contracts and so forth and their policies. And the 1850 when it should be 2800 is a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing the consensus of most of the people on this call is they wouldn't get into a negative cash flow property. So I would write up my rationale and say, hey, during due diligence, I found out you're way under market. You know, this is what my cash flow would be. And, you know, here's the new offer, take it or leave it. And, you know,
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I just don't know how they're going to respond because
Well-
their lawyers / realtors a lot slower to respond than
right.
I would expect.
Right. I know on my last one, they said they wouldn't take any concessions. And I had my buyer's agent write up, you know, an extra $2,500 in concessions and a, you know, I don't know what you call it, but basically I'm backing out. I'm exercising my right to back out in due diligence and send them both and say, you guys pick. And they took they said, we'll give the concession.
Yeah, so I'm waiting back for their response to that. I don't know how it's going to go, but it's just it was one of those changes because I was looking at the property as the 2 beds should go for 18 to 2200 depending. One of them's a lot better than the other. And then the 3-bed 2 baths are a lot larger than comparable units, so they should be around 28 to 3000, but the one unit's at 1850 and I can't change it for almost a year. That's just. And how do you guys like the cash flow doesn't deal for me, but I'm also putting a slightly lower payment. But I try to do an estimate on what a strictly investor would do, basing it on 20% down or 25% down with a interest rate about half a percentage point higher than me. And even on those numbers, an investor would be making a cash on cash return of like 2 or 3%. And I don't think anyone would touch that. Like I presume most of the people here wouldn't.
No.
If you don't have any like skin in the game is the only phrase I can think of. Just be comfortable with being able to walk away because there's more than enough deals available. If they cannot meet you halfway, if they can't provide any concessions, if they won't come down on price, if they're just trying to play hardball, then
Yeah, 'cause
9
even
times
the
out of 10,
price I
they're
dropped to is asking.
yeah, 9
which is
times out of 10, they're
surprising.
just trying to bilk you. So I would just say, hey, look, best and final. If you still want to keep, dithering around, you know, thanks, have a great time, great day, whatever you want to say, and then just be done with it. Like just be totally transparent and just say, hey, look, I'm gonna have this offer up for another week. If you still, whatever, however you want to phrase it or pose it, but one, don't let them, get the sense that you sound like, frustrated or at your wit's end or anything like that. And then 2, just, treat it like a business and just say, hey, this is a business decision. This won't work for me. If you're not willing to come down or, meet me in some sort of way, then I'll just keep looking for something else.
See, that's,
Yeah, I totally agree with Chester. I mean, like I say, I think most people probably in this community, probably wouldn't want to take a negative cash flowing deal, and probably the seller would probably understand that. So, I mean, if it's one thing if they think you're just trying to get them down on price just to get a better deal, but if
but
you
it's just
actually
that they
say,
mismanage the
here's
rents. Because
the Yeah, here, I mean,
if
here's
it
what
was
I'm
at
getting,
26, 2700, it'd be somewhat reasonable. It's just apparently they haven't raised the
Yeah.
rent since
Yeah, but
2021 October. But
yeah, but I
that's
mean, I
it's
mean, here's the
hard for
thing.
me with the rent control and
They're
changes.
wanting you to come in and fix their problem, right? You're
Yeah.
the one that has to take the risk and has to try to get the rents up and negotiate with Section 8 and, you know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking is I would explain, you know, hey, I'm not trying to just get you down, but here's the math, right? Here's the number that makes sense to me. And if, you know, if you can't do it, then I respectfully back out during my due diligence, and I'll check back in with you in a month and see how things are going. You know.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing I was thinking of is, how about they give you like you can put the deal as like a loan with the bank, and then maybe they can finance some of it at a lower rate, and then therefore your monthly payment is going to be lower, and therefore, you know, if you have a lower monthly payment, if you have a monthly rent, but your payment is also low because of the interest rate, then you can still make it a deal if they have the equity in the property. Like let's say they do 30% financing, and then you finance the 60% or 50%, and you put 20% down.
So
So
I plan
that
on
might
doing FHA, so or either FHA
oh
or conventional, so I'm not going to be able to do
oh
that. And I was going the FHA route because it's a good bit better of a rate than conventional, because in Jersey at least, it seemed like the conventional rates were almost half a percentage point higher, and on the loan balance, it makes a good bit of a difference. I wasn't happy with it, but and also I don't think most sellers are going to be comfortable with someone doing that type of arrangement on their first deal. It's not like I have a track record of other properties going well with that sort of method, and they don't seem that motivated, I don't think, because it's still only been about 45 days on market.
Yeah, I would say
yeah
follow
But
up
thank
with
you
like
though.
double the
I would
time.
love to. Okay.
Yeah, once it gets closer to 90 days, do a courtesy, I would say follow up, just to see if they've decided to budge. But yeah, no
Yeah, the
point
thing that
chasing
surprises
it.
me, it's at asking. So, but who knows?
Yeah,
All
give it a
right,
little bit
thanks
of
for the
time.
input, everyone.
Anybody else got anything? Lloyd, you're here. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm doing good. Thank you. First time just kind of listening, getting some experience.
That's great. We're well, just so you know, we're pretty informal. If you have a question, just jump right in. There's quite a broad range of experience in the group. You know, I'm one of the newer guys, but a lot of the other folks have been doing it a lot longer, and so don't hesitate. If you have a question or an issue that you want to chat about, there's no silly questions. And you can stay as long as you like, or, you know, check out whenever you need to. And that's about it. Where are you, and what kind of investing are you doing?
Well, I'm looking to go into Grand Junction in Colorado. Currently staying in Pittsville. I sold my house about a year ago, so I've been sitting here for a while. And then I was about to go buy a house and drop all the money in the house, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, can I make more of this? So I'm starting to explore maybe either multifamily or single family investing. But I'm still looking for a home as well.
Okay. And if you buy an investment property, it'll be there in Colorado?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Do you think you'll be self-managing?
Yes, that would be my intent. kind of a handyman, I've done stuff. So when I lived in Denver, I actually had 2 condos. So we rented them out. So I've had a little bit of experience, but I didn't realize what I had and got rid of it and went to go do something else. And now I'm looking to go back.
Trying again. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. My wife and I are on our second try at it too. We did it way back in 07 and didn't do such a great job at that time. Lost those properties and went through bankruptcy and stuff. So now that we found this community, well, we started back in 2019, re-educating ourselves and getting back into it. We're in California, on the coast near Santa Cruz, and we have all of our stuff is in the Midwest, Missouri and Wisconsin and Indiana. So welcome.
Thank you.
Sean, I was surprised to see you pop in so late.
Yeah, better late than never, right?
Yeah. Yeah, good.
I had landlord stuff going on today, so
I was curious because last week you were waiting for that rent payment to come. Did they deliver?
they did. So for they're supposed to give me $575 for a couple of weeks. And the next day, they didn't send it Wednesday night, which is what they were supposed to do. But Thursday, they sent $500 on Zelle. And so I waited a little while to see if they were going to explain it. And then, I contacted them and said, hey, thanks for the $500. What's going on? And they turns out that they had a limit of they can only send 500.
Oh.
So they sent the 500. And, I asked them, I said, how did you guys pay the last owner and everything? And they're like, well, we use money orders. And they used to go and put it in the property management office Dropbox. And I'm like, I live an hour away. We're going to have to come up with something different. We need something electronic.
Yeah, I saw your questions to the Dion. Yeah. Well, that's good. At least they tried. Yeah. And
in theory, they sent. So I actually have another unit that's not too far away, a tenant that I have a lot of trust with, and they went and dropped the check off at the other property. So I actually haven't been over to get it yet, but in theory they sent me a money order for the $75.
Okay. Did you sometimes I would think some of us would, I guess, think the worst, and start getting worked up because you didn't get the whole 570, but a little patience goes a long way.
Right. And, it's like I don't really know exactly how to solve the problem yet because, and I saw some of the folks in Dion's chat were like offering like, hey, I let them use Cash App and stuff. That's what they use. And I'm not real familiar with a lot of the apps and stuff. I use Zelle, but this is in like a business account. And apparently if you're going to pay with Cash App, as a business, there's the business has to pay or something, which I'm not very excited about that.
Yeah.
So I'll have to figure out something.
That's a lot on a rent. Yeah, like 3%.
Yeah. Yeah. So so I have to figure out something.
Can they do it from the bank account? A lot of banks have pay bills.
See, that's in researching this. Whether you're using PayPal or Cash App or a lot of them, almost all of them have to be tied to a checking account, which I don't think they have, right? Because what I've been doing is I've been trying to come up with a way, and because apparently they're like using Cash App to pay out their bills.
That
Which
is
is like
checking
its own
account.
little ecosystem, right? The money is in Cash App, and if you want to send it over to your bank account, then it's it takes a certain number of days to do it. And the other thing I don't like about it is I have this like in a business account with its own EIN, the property, and if I did Cash App, I'd have to give them my social security number. And I'm just thinking it sounds like a good way to have to answer a lot of questions. Even though I would move the money and do everything right, I would just hate to introduce the possibility of making a mistake, So I really haven't figured it out yet, but
So how much is the rent?
it's $11.50.
So that's like 3 payments through Zeal.
Yeah. But and in a way that doesn't sound bad, but kind of what I'm thinking is I don't want to have to check 3 times a month to make sure they
Yeah.
did it, and they probably
Yeah,
don't
it's
want
painful.
it's
And
3 it's
Zeal doesn't, you can't really track the payments on Zeal like what it's for either.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see who it's from. I get like a notice on my phone, like who it's from. I have I have another customer that pays with Zelle, and he pays the whole thing every month. And I actually kind of like it because with a lot of the other payment platforms, you have to wait like 7 days or something, like if you're paying through ACH for it to clear. And with Zelle, it's like they send it and boom, you get it, So that part's positive.
See, maybe you can use like apartments.com. It's free, but it takes 7 days to get to you.
Yeah, well, exactly. Zillow. I have some customers that use Zillow, and it's ACH through the bank. It's 7 days. I'm starting to move my properties onto Base Lane now. I kind of like a lot of things about their platform. They have a free, tenant portal where you can pay, but you have to have the bank account, right? So I'm planning on going over and talking to them on Friday when I go to address my tree problem. That's the next issue, but I'm going to ask them, like, why don't you guys have a checking account? And my guess is they probably had like a lot of bouncing checks and fees and stuff, and just got rid of it and went to Cash App.
Do you have what is your bank? You have a big bank you're dealing with?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got accounts at PNC. I've got one at Schwab Bank. I've got one at a local credit union.
So they can probably deposit the money order in one of your accounts with the teller.
But and I thought of that, but none of those branches are in this town. But I actually even thought of opening an account in a bank it's Carrollton's, it's the town. Because the credit union's not there and PNC doesn't have one close. But I actually thought about opening an account and just give them some deposit slips and say, just pretend like you're going to drop it in the property manager's drop box, but go deposit it in the bank. So that might be an option too.
But that's what we did when we purchased a property that we were being carried on, and the person that was carrying us, we just got some deposit slips and just go drop it in there. Worked out easy.
Right. The last few times I've went to make a deposit, they actually ask for my ID. And I even joked with the teller. I said, I don't know why you're checking my ID, but if somebody other than me wanted to come deposit money in my bank, I'd be okay with my account. I'd be okay with it. Just so you'll know. But
Walmart also has a service, but it costs a little bit of money.
What was that?
Walmart. Walmart has a collection service.
Yeah, you can do a Walmart to Walmart. I actually looked at that. Walmart Money Center. They have a Walmart to Walmart, but yeah, the fees are high. They use behind the scenes. They have something called RIA, and they use MoneyGram, and yeah, on like $11.50, the fees would be pretty high.
No, I think it's like $7 or $10 for one
Up
payment.
to $1,000, yeah. But
Did you say they're down here in Carrollton?
yeah, David, are you in Carrollton?
I'm 15 minutes from Carrollton. You want me
Oh,
to go?
really?
I'll go there with a baseball bat. Be like, "Where's the money? Let's go. I need the money right now."
Where do you live, David?
I live in Plano, so Carrollton is literally 15 minutes from where we live. Me and my
Okay.
wife were actually looking at some homes in Carrollton a couple
Okay.
months ago, and we were going to move, but we ended up
Okay.
deciding to stay here.
All right. Well, I have my new place is in Carrollton, and I have properties in Villa Rica also. So we need to
Okay.
collaborate.
Yeah, so we do.
Well, that's good to hear that. At least they're trying. Yeah, it's seems like a tough situation to be in if they don't have a bank account or a checking account actually. But
Mhm.
that's a great idea to open up an account at a branch near them.
It just
Yeah.
seems to me like the worst renters that I have use Zeal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just require so much management.
Hmm. Yeah, and I guess they couldn't even do Venmo or something like that, right? Because that's tied to bank accounts as well.
It's the same thing with all of them. It's like if you use a business account to pay, there's a fee, and it's tied to a bank account.
Hmm.
So, like I say, I'm going to talk to them in person on Friday and try to get a little bit more information about what their situation is, and try to creatively solve it, come up with something that works for them. But I'm willing to work with them in whatever method they want to use.
How are
But
they using Zeal without a bank account?
I don't think they were.
so this is my guess, is that they use Cash App, and Cash App has a feature on it that acts kind of like a debit card, and I think they were using that behind the scenes to create like a debit card number and tie that to and make a payment through Zelle. It's just a guess, but this is like a new experience for me, because all of my other tenants, pay once a month, electronically, and it's been easy. So this will be a new experience.
They're making you
It's
work for it.
typically because
They're making me work
people
for
who
it.
use Venmo and Zelle apps generally don't have great credit history, so they can't open up a regular checking account.
Right.
So they're
You
using
need credit
online
to open a
platforms
checking
to store
account?
their money.
Exactly. I mean, that was kind of my assumption.
I didn't know you need credit to open a checking account. Good credit.
Credit unions usually will check your credit to allow you to open an account.
Yeah, Capital One started doing that with some of their accounts now. Sadly, apparently, a lot of banks are trying to switch to that, which is going to actually hurt and mess up a lot of people.
Is
You
that
think they'll
because
be
of
happy
those
with the
late
overcharges?
fees? Yeah, the late and the overcharging fees. Like I think I forget which administration got rid of it. It might have been the Biden administration, but one of them either proposed or was like, yeah, you can't keep, charging all these late fees and junk fees. And so there was going to be some sort of natural consequence, and this is probably it, is having to check people's credit, and it's going to uh throw more people off is the best way I can think about it, but a lot less people are going to be able to have checking and savings accounts as a result.
I think they've been doing it a long time because here we got married 25 years ago, and when we got married, we went to open our first joint account at Bank of America, and they ran credit checks on both of us because they I had someone that was using my social, and it had been keyed in wrong, but it was they came back with a hit that they're like, oh yeah, they got something wrong, where I actually had good credit, but then it was coming up somewhere else, like back east, another state, and I had to do something to correct it, and then it was fine. But they were doing credit checks as far back as then.
Yeah, that's interesting. When I first opened up this is Navy Federal first back in 2000, and then in I want to say it was either '02 or '04 when I'd opened up USAA. I never had to have any credit checks or credit pulls or anything. Um, no social, no nothing. It was just, the basic stand. Now I don't know if that's different because I was at that point in the
You're military.
well, yeah, not only just being in the military, but fresh out of high school and going into the service academy. But I don't know if it was because I didn't have any prior history, I guess, or credit history or whatever the case may be. Like they were just like, hey, we all we need is, just basic information, and then I opened up the account, I think the same day. So I don't know if that might be the difference, but I have not ever tried to open up an account with like a commercial, I guess, bank or non-military addressing or non-military facing bank. So that's news to me. So that might be the case. I simply don't know though.
I know some banks won't ask you for a social security, but you have to have at least an IT. I think most of it was Bank of America that people could do that. But my credit union always required social security. I've had it for more than 20 something years. And my first husband couldn't get an account in any bank according to him because he had bad credit. So that was more than 28 years ago.
Interesting. Now, I don't know, I haven't looked fully into this, but I had heard at one point the post office, I think, had checking accounts to be able to do like basic banking features and stuff, but I don't know if that's even
Well,
still a thing.
well, you can go to the post office and get money orders.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
that was actually another option I was looking at is have them get, because they were paying their previous property manager with money orders. So I was thinking maybe they can get a money order and like send it to me certified mail with a tracking number, because one of the things I don't want to deal with is, hey, the check's in the mail. It's like, I want to see the tracking number.
Yeah, but if they lose the money order, they lose the money, right?
If you send it certified mail and get a post office money order, I think you can get it back.
Yeah, because the certified, that's the way they'll be able to track it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like insurance.
But yeah, but I mean, there's like no easy way to do this, but so I have a totally unrelated question for Josh. Is that like a dome or something in your background picture?
That's my halo. You didn't know
That's what I was thinking. It's almost like you look like an angel looking down on the group with your halo.
I know. I'm the angel. I'm the angel from above. No, from that angle, you can't see my horns. The horns tucked up underneath there. No,
I
it's
thought
actually,
it was.
I live in Spokane, Washington, and in, let's see, what was it? 1974, we had the World's Fair here,
Mm-hmm.
and they built that big structure. It's called the pavilion. And it has basically that big ring at the top and then a bunch of cables that come out from it.
Mm-hmm.
And originally it was like a big tent, almost like a gigantic circus tent thing. Well, then over the years, the fabric, they got rid of that, and it's just kind of this big structure. And now they actually have lighting on it, and they hold concerts underneath it and stuff. So we were actually there for a concert, and I snapped a picture of myself underneath it. And so that's what that is it's kind of a big, in the center of downtown in the park where they have concerts and stuff. It's the pavilion. If you look up Spokane, and you'll see kind of that big thing in there.
It's a cool picture, and yeah, like I say, whenever it looks kind of like, just the expression on your face, kind of like looking down with the halo,
Yeah, it was actually a picture with my son, but I cropped him out of it to post on here. So yeah. Yeah, it is kind of an odd one though when you look and you're like, what is that thing? I almost forgot about the meeting tonight. And all of a sudden I was working on a bunch of stuff on the computer, and I was like, I got the meeting. So I
Yeah, me too.
jumped on here.
So do you guys, some of you are replying to my message, but I as I was listening to the call, I had been ignoring the email from the wholesaler. Around noon, he sent me the wholesaler contract to sign. And I said, oh, I'll review it tonight. And so I opened it and I quickly declined it. He's making, so this house is being sold for $500,000. The lady has a loan that's $400. That's a VA loan that's got the 375 interest rate. So I was thinking she was gonna make 100,000, and she looks like she needs that money. Well, this assignment says that he is making $60,000. Now, at first, I was like, no way, I don't have $60,000 to give a wholesaler and then 100,000 to give the homeowner. And so I declined it. And I said, this is way too much money. The deal already doesn't make any, doesn't make any sense, but it's too close for my comfort. So I declined it. He quickly sends me a text message saying that he sees that I declined and how the homeowner knows exactly what she was doing. And she refinanced her home 2.5 years ago and pulled out $250,000. And I'm like, I don't even, I told him, I understand now that it's not like I'm going to pay 160 out of pocket, that it's just the same 100,000, that he's taking 60 out of that. And that I just feel sick to my stomach to know that he's going to make more money than this homeowner. And just because he thinks she already has enough money because 2.5 years ago she pulled out that money. What a jerk. It just makes me sick. This lady is an older lady with 2 adult children that I think are special needs. And he's happy with this because 2.5 years ago she pulled out 250. That's not the kind of person I want to be part of. So I said, yeah, it's fine. And he texted me back, your loss. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm okay with that. I'm leaving it at that. I know where to find this lady. I'm gonna go find her. I'm sure she's like signed some kind of contract, but I'm gonna eventually, at some point I'll go to that HOA and find her contact so I can talk to her. Not to buy the house, but I don't know. Just seems like this guy is a snake. Anyway.
I borderline thought you said that he was going to text you and be like, how dare you not take my offer? Now I can't go buy that motorboat.
I know, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting some disrespectful text. I was about to be like, hop on a plane, go find this guy for her, and start fucking him around.
Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, if this was listed on the market 10% is what she would, usually like you kind of estimate that 10% goes for the sale. She would make more money putting it on the market. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Well, it
So-
sounds like we made the right decision.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just to be clear, Michelle, you said that the value was around
500.
500 and she took out 250, but she still owes 100.
No, so this house is so the value on market is probably around 530. Somewhere between 500 and 530.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to sell it off market with the assumable loan for 500. She has a
Okay.
loan that's
With the-
400. And so what the deal was is I assume the $400,000 dollar loan and pay $100,000, the equity. That equity is going to be split where 60,000 goes to the lady. I mean, to the guy, to the wholesaler, and 40,000 goes to the lady. So, it shouldn't matter to me what she agreed with him,
Mhm.
but it's too close of a deal anyway for me
Right.
to.
Not a lot of
Yeah.
room in it. But she is, I mean, if the deal is she gets 40% and she gets, somebody takes over her mortgage, then that's a little bit sweeter for her.
Right, that's what she's, yeah. And 2.5 years ago, she pulled out 250 is what he's saying. So, that's okay. Yeah, that's her money though. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'd rather send a
better
real
to
estate
put it on the
agent to
market.
meet her. Yeah, it's better for her to put it on the market. And she's already moving, so I don't know if, probably what's going to happen is that she is going to put it on the market if nobody buys it. But I don't know. I think he's a snake. He's a jerk.
I'm sure
It's hard because some of those guys you feel like they're a snake, but you don't know what her you may or may not know all of her circumstances. Sometimes the reason they get what they get is because they're working on a timeline that's
Yeah.
maybe faster or certain things. But when you hear the prices sometimes that some of these wholesalers what they make on some of these and you feel bad because a lot of times it's somebody who's potentially down and out and put a compromised position, which is why they're taking this deal because they're just trying to get out from underneath it. And
Right.
as somebody who's in a financially sound position and you hate to see someone get taken advantage of, it breaks your heart because you're a moral person, and that's you hate to see someone go that way, but that's also where these deals can come from, which it's you probably did the right thing. You did what you morally felt was right, and sometimes you just got to walk away from that and go, that just doesn't feel good because in other
Yeah.
cases it could be some dump of a house that it's a hoarder and a big mess and you get a good deal on
Well,
it.
yeah, that's the other thing. The reason she might be going through a wholesaler is to put it on the market. She might have to put a whole lot of money into fixing it up that she doesn't have.
So I walked the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's clean. It's tired.
Yeah.
If it's like she's moving out, she's got boxes in some of the rooms, but it's definitely doesn't look like a hoard. Like she's
Huh.
not hoarding things.
It's not a trash.
It's not trashy, no.
Yeah.
So she told me, because I went to see it on Sunday, she told me that her older son had already done 7 trips with her stuff. Probably in a smaller, pickup van or a van, to where she's moving. She's moving closer to him. So yeah, some of the rooms are already empty.
Nice.
And so there are some things that the house needs for sure. Like one of the garages doesn't work. There's a $200 fix. A new motor is $150. because I already did it to one of my duplexes. And then you pay for someone to install it. I think it cost me $250 to get it all done. There is a broken window, just a cracked glass, a smaller window. So yeah, that's another $300 probably. Because I already, replaced the windows in one of my duplexes as well. And each window cost me like $200 and someone installing for $50 a piece. There's a little things like that. So on market, she could sell it for sure. Especially if other houses are selling for about $530 around there. Someone comes and says, give me a deal, $500, she can sell it for that. There's no way that she cannot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It
There's
sounds like
nothing
your
there's
advice
nothing
probably would be
major.
good.
Yeah, there's nothing major wrong with it. It's a nice house.
He's probably put her in a exclusive contract.
Yeah.
That probably doesn't
Absolutely.
end anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah, I'm not gonna contact her to try and go around him. I just wanna, I don't know. Maybe I won't even do that. I don't know. Just I'm a little upset right now. I am a little upset right now. I can't believe someone's gonna make that much money off of an old lady that can barely walk and just lost her husband. It's just pissing me off. So sorry. This is going on YouTube. Sorry.
Negotiate with him. Bring it down to 30,000. Tell me you don't have the
No,
money.
it's not. Yeah, it's not worth it. No. I don't want to be around that guy. He lost me. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks, guys.
I like it, Michelle. I think you're on the right track.
Thanks, Josh.
Hey, I got a really editorial talking about the property management company because I'm just gonna go through this. But I have a question. I have a jet tub in both units of a duplex. Do you people as a jet tub or I want to know.
I know last week Cassidy was saying that he had a issue with one of his jetted tubs, but I was because you were saying the property manager said if something happened to the tub while you had a tenant there, that you would have to put another jetted tub in.
Yeah, so just like jet tub, if it's gonna be rented as a jet tub, then I have to maintain it. I can't just because it broke, I can't blank it out and then convert to just a soaking tub.
Regular.
So I have to repair it or replace it during the tenancy of the lease. So I was like, it's an old tub. It must be like a wood stove or but it's not like a laundry machine that we can just remove it. You're gonna have to have a tub in the bathroom, and I guess you can't really lease it as is. Like if it breaks, it breaks. They told me that if you left it just the way it is and using as a soaking tub, it might have a mildew problem in one of the jetted holes and then accumulate bacteria. So you're gonna have to do something. And I called around the local people, and none of them really retire jetted tubs to regular tubs. So I just wonder, I think this is one of the items that needs to be retired and then just convert it to simple bathtub because I don't really want to replace the tub that it can be used as a just a working tub just because it's jetted. I don't know what. I never heard anybody talking about it, so I thought I was gonna ask. That was the main reason why I'm here. Not talking about the property manager.
Did you say that jetted tub is a standard size, like a regular bathtub? Those are usually 30 by 60.
Yeah, was goodness, it's much bigger than that. 59, 58 by what was 58 by I have to have a measurement tape. I don't have it with me right here. I'm at the duplex watching it, but
Yeah, because usually they're more like 36.
measurement. Yeah, it's a oversized tub.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It's in the car.
That's why I was
So
saying.
it's
That's why I was saying earlier, if you replace the tub with a standard size tub, then you're going to need to do something with the floor because the tub's going to be smaller than the old one.
Yeah.
Can you put something if you're going to renew their lease on that? Could you when you go to sign a new year lease, could you have something in it that stipulates, hey, I know it's got this jetted tub in here now, but if that tub goes out, it's going to be replaced with a conventional tub, and so I just want you to be aware of it over this next year. If and when that should happen, don't be expecting another jetted tub to be in there. It's going to be a conventional tub or something like that.
Yeah, I guess that can be done, but it has to be, replaced. And that's gonna be a lot of expense. I'd rather have this one in the unit. And then there was a way to seal off retire the jet tub, like remove the, what do you call it, the jetted exit, the thing, and then put in a silicone and then put a cap on it. And then it can be done according to Google, that it can be done professionally or something, but doesn't look like the local people will do it. So I asked one of the farmers and they said they have never done it. They have thrown away jetted tub, but they haven't never done it. And so, yeah. So I don't know what to do with it.
Labor always costs more than the materials.
What can I can't hear you. What did you say?
Labor always costs more than material.
Leave it there if it costs more than material.
The labor.
Uh-huh.
So anytime you're doing something custom or more than normal, the
Yeah.
labor that costs you.
It does, yeah. Yeah.
I know what
sure.
floor? What floor do you have in that bathroom?
In the first floor. It's a flat.
No, what
One story.
material? Is it tile or is it vinyl
Oh,
or
the tree. It looks like it's a fiberglass.
it's a what?
Fiberglass.
On the floor?
Oh, on the floor. The floor is LVP.
Okay, because what Frank is saying is if you remove the jetted tab, the jetted tab is probably 32 or 36 inches wide. In
Yeah.
a regular tub, it's 30.
Yeah. Yes. So I had a LVP laid knowing this is probably gonna happen. So I have a transition right at the entrance of the bathroom so that I can replace the bathroom LVP later. So I have to transition. So I don't have to have everything. It's just like a bathroom, but still, that's more than I really pay for it with them.
So on the dimension, they might just have a regular bathtub with that dimension.
I can probably find a bigger one, right? Big bathtub to replace if I have to. Okay.
Anna, do you want us to come over and help you? We will. We can't Saturday, but Sunday.
Frank will fly right up.
It's an hour and a half drive for us, so it's not that bad.
You can stay at my place. So, I think I have guests already booked at my Airbnb, so I don't know what to do with that.
I have to be home on Saturday, but we can come on Sunday. And I mean, Frank, how long can it take us to replace a tub?
He could do a live stream all the way up I-5.
This is I can't believe some people put a jet tub in a duplex. This is the first one to deal with. There's exactly the same one on the other side. So I'm trying to learn what I can do about this. And yeah, this is one of those things that should never be installed in the first place. I was thinking maybe I should take it out and convert it to just a shower, walk-in shower.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I don't know. Either way, it's gonna be expensive. I said, yeah.
Yeah, because if you just did a shower, if you do a shower pan, it's going to cost about the same as a tub, and then you're going to have the same wall kit or a taller wall kit in just a shower. So probably, between 1,000 and 1,300 for the kit, and probably about the same for labor to remove that and install a new one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 25 to 3,000 most likely just for the shower.
Yeah. The surroundings really need to be replaced. So that was my initial thing, because this is a laminate and so much you can caulk around it. And Frank told me that there was a caulking tape that I could use. So I thought, okay, the worst case scenario, I'll clean it up and use the caulking tape because there are gaps. And I'll just finish it up and then rent it out this time. But then found out about this jet tub that I don't know how long it can last. Maybe most likely it's gonna probably break. And that's just if I can just go ahead and fill it in with the silicone and then take the cap off and then just seal it with the proper cap and then rent it as just a soaking tub. That's probably the cheapest. Then I can finish the bathtub and then just change the surroundings or something like that. But I'm just kind of less, what do you call it, that I am on a very steep learning curve at this point about this thing. Just found out this afternoon about this jet tub issue, and I'm like, okay, what do we do? So, well, really appreciate everybody's talking about it. That's why I got really hot a while ago when Esther started talking about the property management company. Dang it! If I ever did managing, I will just put the extra clause. If the table breaks, it breaks.
Yeah, it sounds like Josh's suggestion about putting it in the new lease seems reasonable. It would be unfortunate. Is there two bathrooms in the house?
Yep, just done.
Yeah.
I
So,
think it's the health issue with the, yeah. If it breaks, I'm gonna replace the simple die. Later or now is the problem with this.
yeah.
So either way, I probably have to stash away money to actually do it. And then that means in the middle of the tenancy, I will probably have to put the tenants into a hotel for like a month
That's what I was going to
while
say.
I'm
Yeah.
doing. Yeah, so if that's gonna happen, then I will have to do it now, right? So yeah, it probably gets more.
I don't know how great of an option it would be, but some contractors now they have financing, so
Mhm.
maybe you could get it done and make payments on it or something like that.
Yeah, I guess that's something that I may have to do, but I don't want to do. I'm already in the deep debt.
Yeah.
Well, I really want it. Yeah, if it's gonna be like a few $1,000s, maybe I will take it and put everything else on hold. All other projects, just make it cheap as I can make it and then rent it.
Hmm.
But this subject is a health issue with, yeah, because I remember last time when we leased it out, the black water came out from the tub that nobody really took back. So that there was a mildew in the jetty hall. They only took shower. So that was pretty frightening. We're glad that tenant stayed, but could have really done damage to it.
Yeah.
It is a problem. Yeah. Jet tub needs to go. Should never put it into a rental.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. I think I probably have to replace it now. That's good target. Unless I find somebody to actually retire the jet tub properly. So we'll see.
All right. Anything else going on? Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
I just have a question for anyone have recommendations for where to stay for the convention that's not super expensive? I've never been to Vegas, so I'm trying to figure out where to stay. And Mark needs to get his ticket because I bet he hasn't gotten his ticket yet, too. I see him over there in the corner.
Yeah, I think he's waiting for you to get a hotel so he can come and stay with you.
I'll bunk up with him. That's fine. Let's go. I just need to know where we're staying.
There you go, Mark.
Did you just call me out?
I'm gonna keep calling you out till you tell me that you got your ticket.
You know you're gonna get yourself cut out of these Zoom calls if you chat with me, right? They're gonna edit you out.
That's fine.
It's okay.
Well-
We stopped recording already.
Oh, I can jump in now. But I didn't buy my ticket, but I did buy my flight. So how's that?
Okay. Well, then I'm happy. That's fine.
Well, if you don't have a ticket, we're not gonna help you get in under
I'll
the
sneak
radar.
him in. I will all day. I'll sneak my friend in.
Well, then you're gonna be outside with him then.
I won't get caught. Can't catch me.
All I gotta do is steal someone's ORAT shirt, Frank's ORAT shirt, and then I can get in. No one will even know.
Did you find a place for a Friday night get together?
I left that for Mikey to deal with. Mikey, if you didn't know, that's your job. No, but everyone that's going, don't you think that's a good idea? Like have something kind of pre-set up for a Friday night, and so that way no one has to kind of figure out where everyone's gonna meet up and get a little icebreaker going before the event on Saturday. Frank, are they doing Denny's on Friday night also, or no? It was just
No, just
No.
Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, for that reason, because they didn't want people to be tired on Saturday.
Hey Frank, how do we get more intel on the Thursday Denny's?
I think they'll probably start putting the information out there as we get closer.
Okay.
Last time, so there were three, there were
Sorry,
three
Josh?
there were three Denny's in the area, and two of them they didn't like. So
All right, so
is
I did have one other question. So listening to the saga, the never-ending saga of the joys of dealing with property managers. Uh, I did ask Dana, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? 3 weeks ago, whenever she was on, about transferring properties over to Hemlane. Uh, I don't know whether anybody had mentioned or said, "Hey, yeah, I'm looking to do it," or already done it. I'm considering it. I'm giving the property manager like a little bit of time right now, but not going to necessarily say my patience is wearing thin, but however, quite literally, my patience is wearing thin, and I'm thinking about moving the property over to Hemlane and wanted to get some opinions of, yay, nay, good, bad platform, comparing it to other stuff like, what is it, Door Loop, Base Lane? Is that the other one? I
yeah,
think so.
John said he was doing Basely.
Yeah. So really wanted to kind of get some opinions
You
collectively.
you only have one property.
Yes. And if the property manager is not doing their job, then what's the use of having them manage the property?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like,
Yeah, Chester, I think if you're going to try to do self-management from out of town, you would have to, you might could do it without a property manager, but you would have to have, some contacts like some handymen, plumbers, some kind of boots on the ground that you could call if there's an issue.
yes, and that is definitely something that I am putting together, if you want to call it like an intel or whatever the case may be, getting into some Facebook groups for Detroit investors specifically, and then just kind of looking around to see, like reviews, Angie's List, Thumbtack, stuff like that, to be able to, like you said, kind of build up that network, those boots on the ground
I would test
before making the switch.
I would test those workers with like something simple to do and see how they perform.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the plan, because it's not going to simply be sort of a quick quote unquote rip the band-aid off and be like, "Alrighty, guys, it's half past the hour. Thanks for all you've done. I'm literally moving over to a new platform." Like, no, it's going to be maybe, I don't know, what is it, mid-October, so I would say, worst comes to worst, depending on how long it takes to completely build out a team, maybe around the time that we're all planning to go to Vegas, before I uh, quote unquote pull the trigger. And the main reason why is because this is the other question that's generally somewhat related, but not 100%. And that is, I'm trying to get a tenant into the property, and I'm trying to remember, I think, was it Anna or was it Esther? Can't remember who was saying that they were having problems with the property manager and they were dragging their feet on something. But this is kind of where I'm starting to get that, like, all right, don't want to quote unquote light a fire under their, rear end, hind parts, whatever you want to call it. Of course, I would want to, of course, use the choice three-letter word because of the frustration right now. But I am not, trying to be the one paying everything every month while the property manager sits
that's
back
not
and does
that's not
nothing.
good. That's not good.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, all right, what is going on? Why has this property been listed and you have heard and or seen nothing? Like, you know, worst comes to worst, I may have to uh do like rent
So do you
adjustments. I
have
can't think of
I said, do
anything.
you have a contract with the property management company?
Yes, and I'm going to
Yeah.
have
So I
to
mean, if
review it.
yeah, you probably have to live with it until the contract's up.
Yeah, from what I remember, the termination fee wasn't anything insane, but I do remember like they were particularly eager or keen to be like, hey, thanks for choosing us. I know you went with the turnkey provider. But hey, before we go any further, can we sign here? And again, it was part of all of the onboarding stuff, but it was something that caught my eye, and I was just like, it seems a little interesting, but okay. But being naive and now realizing that naivete is a cost of doing business, I'm looking at that exit fee like,
So I'll give you a couple of thoughts as someone who's relatively new that does self-management. When I got into it, I didn't know if I was going to use a property manager or not. Quite frankly, that's one of the reasons I got interested in Dion's content, was because he did self-management. And really, this is just my take on it, is the time intensive part is placing the tenant, having somebody that knows, the fair housing laws and can help you get a tenant placed. And then after that, a long time ago, it was probably collecting the rent, which is kind of my problem now from the earlier discussion. But with a lot of these platforms like HemLane and Base Lane and stuff like that, if you have a good tenant, you can automate the rent collection, right? So the other piece after that is who are you going to call when there's a problem? Because that's where the property manager being on the ground has an advantage, is that they've probably got a list and they can call somebody while you're at work or something like that. But generally they don't do anything that you wouldn't do, right? If someone calls with a leak, you're probably going to call a plumber, but you wouldn't have the advantage of. So all of my properties I keep within an hour of my house. So, if I had to, I could drive over there, but you wouldn't have that advantage. Being relatively new, you'd probably have to have somebody you really trusted to be able to get out there if you needed them for something.
Yeah.
But I mean, in an optimistic scenario, you place somebody, you get them on, auto pay, and they pay every month and don't have any maintenance issues, and you're good. But it
How
don't
long have
always
you
happen like
listed
that.
How long has it been listed?
Yeah, what's the problem?
What it sounded like Anna and Mitesh. It's like you guys both said something at the same time.
Mitesh said, how long is it listed?
Okay. So it's been about a month, and like it's just been absolute crickets, and I'm like, are you sure that it's been actually listed? Like, I'm not expecting, people to be
Well, have
like,
you went and tried to pull up, like done a search on any of the popular, how tenants look in that area, if they do use Zillow or whatever, and tried to look and see if your property's showing up and what it looks like?
So
have you been to the property at all?
Yeah, so I've been to the property.
After it was fixed up?
Not after it's been fixed up. No, I've
So
got
you
multiple
don't know if it's
pictures
been
of it
fixed
though.
up or not.
I've got multiple pictures. Like I would not have closed at all had the property not been like fixed up. Because
Okay.
I saw it before and after. Like I was physically walking through the house and it was uh uninhabitable. So if the photos that I have seen over the past, what is it, 2 months while they were working on it, if those were not real, yeah, they've done a one heck of
No,
a
do you
Houdini
have the
job.
final pictures of the final house?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, everything looks good.
Yeah.
What is your contract for the listing? What's the expiration on that?
I'm gonna have to go back and take a look at that. That was part of the original paperwork. Was that? Was it mid-October? Oh wow, month and a half ago. All right, so yeah, definitely gonna have to go back and take a look at that. Yeah, there's the what do you call it? The leasing agent.
Are you paying the property manager right now monthly?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
There's nothing to pay them. It's just like they only
Okay.
get paid if there's a tenant in the property. Like I
Okay.
yeah.
So, yeah, okay. You kind of like you bought a turnkey property without a renter in it.
Yeah. So I think we had talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Like some of the properties that the turnkey company provides with tenants, some without. So this one simply so happened to be without a tenant. It wasn't as though there was a agreement or a contract or anything that was like, hey, we're going to guarantee that after we fix it up, we're going to put a tenant regardless.
Yeah,
Um,
to me, a turnkey means that there's a renter.
okay, yeah, so that was something I didn't ask or didn't think to ask or didn't know to ask. I just basically was just like, okay, well, that's, you know, I can't even really call it like an assumption because an assumption is really just more something that like, you know, a guess or something like that based on what you've already seen. So if you don't know or haven't seen anything, there's no way to like know.
Have you asked the property management company, like, what how many people, have they placed ads? How many people have inquired? If they can give you a status?
They gave me a status last Thursday. Uh, they said I think 5 people viewed the property, but it didn't say what platform, and 0 inquiries and uh 0 showings. So it's basically just been just kind of literally just sitting. Like I'm like, if it's been there for a month and it's like, you know, about not quite 2 months. It's been a little over a month. But coming up on 2 months, and yeah, I'm just like, okay, what are some approaches, I guess, as far as like what things should I start with to
Yeah, I saw Michelle's comments in the chat. That was going to be my next question: is what are you asking for rent, and what do you think is market?
Oh, okay, because she says what is the listing? I thought that was wait, have you compared the listing to others and what other rents are going for? So I have done a little bit of homework on that. Um, the the rents seem to be honestly all over the place. There are some that are like almost $300 more. There's some that are like 150. $150, almost $200 less. So it really
Okay.
it does depend.
How many bed and baths?
This is a 4-1.
Oh, it's that one. See, it's that one bedroom that's gonna kill you, or one bathroom.
No.
Chester, when when you do a rent study where you look in, I mean, I don't know if it's Zillow or apartments.com, and it'll show you how long, like Zillow does, I don't know if apartment.com does. It'll show you like when it was listed for rent, and so you can tell how long it's been listed, and if there has been any rent reductions, right? So doing a rent study, I mean, the property manager should be doing that, but maybe they are like inundated with so many properties and they're not going to care about your one property. So like do that before you pull the trigger on moving them to another place, especially so you can put someone in there. So do a rent study to see if it needs to be reduced.
I would say
Yeah,
$1,200, 12 maybe
Rent
$1,300 for rent. What do you? What's
Yeah.
it? What's it being listed
Yep.
for?
Yeah, so right now it's almost 1,500. And I'm looking right now at what is this called? Rentcast. And this is not showing any properties recently. I think I may have to, whatever it is, upgrade to the pro version or whatever, but it's showing prices of or rents of 1,200, 1,300, 1,500, and 1,595. And those are all within a mile of the property.
I would say 1,300 is your rent. Rents have come down about 10% from last year.
In some areas, right? Not everywhere.
In Detroit.
Right.
So
Okay.
I have a person signed up for 1,300, but I do know like it's gone down 10%. So if I were to rent it out, it'd be 10% less now.
Matisse, who's
So
your
that's like
property manager?
1,325.
Who
Maybe
is
you
it?
could
It's
say,
a
yeah,
friend of mine. He's
you might be able to set
has,
Chester up.
he manages his mom's properties in Detroit, and I think he's got a few of his own. So he used to live there for 10 years. He lives in Los Angeles now, but he's over there right now taking care of my properties. So
Yeah, coming down, right around 10%. We put it somewhere in about 1,325 neighborhood.
yeah, I would just do 1,300 on it.
Just 1,300 flat.
I mean, you're like pulling your hair from maybe 1,350.
Yeah, I mean,
just do 1,300, get it over with.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you think of, $100 a month is $1,200 a year. If you miss a month, right, by not lowering it, you could easily justify dropping the rent just a little to get somebody in there.
Yeah, you're losing $100 a month for the whole year. You might as well just lower it by $100.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you miss a month, that's $100. That's $100 a month. It's the same. Your yearly revenue would be the same as if you missed a month's rent and you lowered it for 100 and got somebody in.
Yeah, do the rent study, Chester, because the other thing you can see is other listings, kind of like what Dion is indicates. They're maybe giving like incentives. Maybe they're not lowering, but then the listing may show, special moving special, or because I've seen those in our area. I don't know Detroit, so maybe I don't remember who the guy that was talking. Not Sean, but Matish, I think, is more familiar with it. But in our market, like
Mhm.
before they lower, I start seeing like if anything is listed over 20 days, I start seeing like moving special and there'll be
Mhm.
like a $500 reduction.
Really?
So do a rent study, Chester.
And
You
you're
don't want to
talking,
miss out.
and that's for like the first. What'd you say, Anna?
No, no, I was like, just like Michelle said, do the rent box, like a buy box, rent box.
I,
And then
I think I heard Matt say one time Chester had a strong rent box on a call.
Oh, you do? All right.
I thought I heard him say that.
Okay. I don't know. When you're looking at the rent box, you can actually see what the similar properties of yours in today's rental market. And just like Michelle says, you look at, I usually keep track of one, like Zillow, and then keep track of how many days and when it goes out to rent.
That
Things
actually,
like that.
that brings up a good point, Anna, because some of the places where I was looking and tracking it, like apartments.com, gosh, what is the other one?
Zillow.
Not true. Yes, Zillow. So like I was looking on, I guess if you're gonna call it like commercial sites and not really ones that are more geared or focused towards it. Like, after um, Dion had basically shown all of us, and I'd seen it for myself with Rentometer, which is those, rents are um still a little bit out of whack. You know, I just basically kind of defaulted to those and really hadn't tried to look around to find other sources that may potentially have been more accurate. And admittedly, also, I will freely admit this part, since I'd been more, focused on, getting to closing and everything like that over the past couple of months, really since the summer, that was not something that I had been continuing, I guess, to focus on. I'd been, of course, kind of more, get lender, make sure, everything with title and everything like that, and make sure everything closes. And then, of course, all the craziness with the appraisal and the inspection. So now that all of that is like behind me, for lack of a better phrase, yeah, it's basically now I've got to essentially go back and redo the rent box. And, you know, like I said, this one here, I'll put this in the chat. This or not property, this it's like a version of Rentometer. Basically, it's called Rentcast. It looks almost exactly the same, but like if you put in the property, it's basically going to show here, I'll put it in there. It's basically going to show the uh the
Chester, do you have Rentometer?
yes, I've got Rentometer.
Okay.
I just found out about Rentcast today, and
Mhm.
like I said, that's when I had when I pulled or typed in the address and everything, and when Mitesh was saying, "Hey, yeah, this should be like right around 1300."
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing is actually no, now
So,
that I realize.
so
Yeah, so
Chester,
yeah,
if you, I
Mhm.
was gonna say if you may already have it, but I've got like the Pro Rentometer, and I have like several premium reports left. If and if you want me to run one for you, I'll be happy to send you one. But you
Oh no,
may already have it.
yeah, I've got the Rentometer Pro
Okay.
one, but I just don't have the whatever this Rentcast Pro one is. Like this one, like I said, this one is basically spot on for what the estimate that Mitesh was giving for it. So it looks like I said,
So I'll make it real easy on you, Chester. Give me the address. I'll have the guy go over there and give you the
yeah,
price.
I just added in I just added the address in the chat. It's 19973 Rose Lawn.
Okay,
And talk
good.
about the value of the community, man, right there. I have a guy go over. Check him out.
Yeah, so that definitely makes it easy.
If you want him to list it for you, he could do that too. His wife is a realtor for in the state.
Oh, that my only question would be, of course, I would be appreciative. I don't know if I don't think that there's any
The
like
property management company.
yeah, if they say anything and they go, "Hey, why did somebody else list this?" Like that's the only thing
Well,
is like
you have to look at the contract and see how exclusive it is.
yeah, so that again, only because I've been dealing with the headache of now finally getting, 99.9% of the way to getting the property registered and I forget what is it, the certificate of compliance or whatever with Detroit. So now that all of those headaches have been out of the way, that's what I've been doing Then I realized I had to put all of those headaches out of my mind. I'd been dealing with DTE, which is Detroit Energy, Detroit Water and Sewer, the what is it? Not rent. Doggone it. All of the registration stuff. That's been the headache for the last, few weeks. So now
You need
You
to
know,
hire a
I
VA
think
on Task Bullet and tell them to just do it
oh well see
while you're at work.
So here's the thing though. Like the property management company was like, "Yeah, for a fee, we'll take care of all of this for you." And I'm like, "Well, I need to at least know what it is you all are doing before I just give you money to be like, sure, take this headache off my hands."
it's really weird because I bought a lot of property in Detroit. I haven't had to go through what you had to. Seems like escrow would take care of everything, and all I had to do was put the utilities in my name,
So
and
that was
that was
that
it.
was part of the problem is that I needed to find out how to get a property transfer affidavit so that I could get the utilities in my name. And turns out there was, long story short, without going into these headaches, uh, all I had to do was email the copy of the affidavit to it was like the registrar's office or something like that. It's basically the tax office. And then from there, that's when everything basically kind of was able to, for the most part, move forward, like getting all of the um, city code inspections and stuff like that. And so it's, I guess, just one headache after the next because it's like until now that I know what I'm doing, it's like before I didn't have any of that. And then looking at all of the information on all of the different websites across all of I don't even know how many websites it was, but long story short is this. I finally got it to the point where now that's no longer a headache. And so that's why I'm just like, maybe it's because I've been dealing with all of these things one after the next, where it's like, all right, now I need a tenant in the property.
Yeah, that's
And
when you
so,
cross the goal line, right? Is when you get that lease.
yeah. So, yeah. So,
Yeah,
Zillow
I
says
think your buddy Matish is the way to go here, Chester.
yeah. No, yeah. I mean,
Sorry,
yeah.
Michelle, you were about to say something.
no, in Zillow it says that it's been listed for 6 days and there has been 6 people contacted.
You said for 6 days?
That's what Zillow says. Remember, it's not always accurate. It's just whenever Zillow has
That's what Zillow
Oh,
listed
that's right.
it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. I was
So
like,
check on other platforms too to see what those platforms says.
Right. But Zillow's a
Okay.
biggie.
Mm-hmm.
Zillow's a
Okay.
biggie.
Okay. Yeah. So,
They might have been giving you the runaround, Chester.
Actually, your
A
best
little bit.
candidates come from other agents.
Say it again, Mitesh. Only heard like the last
Your
sentence.
best renters will come from other agents.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I mean, they would be the ones already inquiring with other with agents to begin with, so that makes sense.
Hey Chester, I dealt with RPM, Real Property Management, here in Spokane. That's who I first started with, because they're basically, my understanding, at least at the time when I dealt with them, was they're basically like a franchisee for property management. At least, that's how this guy was. He had the management area for Spokane, or where we're at. And our guy was great. So just like any franchisee, just all depends on the management person in your area. But we liked
So far, so
RPM.
good.
Yeah, we liked them, and their back end side or whatever, their software seemed to work good. And so, I mean, they seemed decent at the time. Of course, we've moved on. It's been several years ago now, because the guy ended up passing away and it was sold, and then the people that bought it were scumbags. But that's a different
Isn't
story.
isn't that always like isn't that how it always works? It's like
Yeah,
it's great, and then the person, something happens, and then it's like, all
Yeah.
right, now it's a bag of dirt.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted.
Oh man, I hope I just don't have one of the the
Hopefully they're good. Hopefully they're good.
yeah, I'm knock on wood.
Yeah.
And so that's where, sort of long story short, or short story long, where all of it has kind of been now to the point of like, okay, like I said, I don't want to say losing patience, but to the point where I'm just like, you know, is it, and so it sounds more or less though, that it may just simply be, hey, just drop the rent by 200 and then, kind of go from there. That's what it seems like, to be honest.
Connect with Matesh.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely want to double check first before doing anything drastic. So that's why I said, I need to
I think I would
really kind of
offer a
go
moving
back.
special before I drop the rent. Maybe drop it a little bit, but don't drop it 200. Drop it, give them like a first month free, but keep the rent where it is as long as they qualify for it as a leader.
The lower rent looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Hey, Chester, do you think they would be open to adjusting your listing if you made edits on it?
That was one of the first things I was thinking about, Mikey, because when I saw the copy for it, it basically read like if I was going into Chat GPT and said,
Yeah.
type up an ad to get renters in this property, and um here are some features or nearby things of the area. I don't even think I saw any of that. So like
Because when I was looking at the pictures, that kitchen picture is beautiful, and I don't know if it would make more sense maybe to move it up. Maybe that's one of the first pictures that potential tenant sees, and like how Matt he has his how he writes his listings, where
yes,
instead of like the paragraphs, it's all like bullet
bullet
points of
points.
yeah, it's
Yes.
just like the hospital is right down the street, or all the landmarks, like you're like 5 minutes away from the freeway.
Yeah, that was the first thing and as a matter of fact, thinking about oh shit, I'm a landlord now. Was literally
Yeah,
thinking about
yeah.
Matt's going. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to say horrible, but I was just like, okay, I mean, I could see like, but again, most people aren't going to read because, especially when there's a whole bunch of stuff to try to get through, people aren't going to try to read through it. And
Mhm.
like I'll be totally honest, I'm not a renter, and I got like a third of the way through it and was like, I can't read this. So I know nobody else is going to read it. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
little
That
things
that
like
close-up
that.
picture of the kitchen is really nice.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking that was one of the things too. I was thinking about Mikey, was like, how much would it cost a professional photographer to just take like I don't know, 50 or whatever. I don't know, however they do it, like maybe in groups of like 25 or something like that. Let's just say as an example. And then just say like, hey, maybe that's like $200 to get like 50 professional photos. I would be able to say, hey, this is probably going to be the nicest looking um property that's available on the market. But again, these are again one thing at a time, but without trying to, it's almost kind of like trying to, even though none of us are doctors, it's like trying to figure out like if a patient comes to you and says, I'm sick, and you're like, okay, I need to figure out what's going on so I could get the right, medicine or whatever the case is before just trying to be like, okay, we need to start an IV. We need to get you on bed rest. You need to take some penicillin. We're gonna have surgery first thing in the morning. Instead of doing like 100 million things, see if one will, slowly but surely kind of like get it to where it needs to be. So that's why I'm just kind of weighing all the different options. So
Yeah,
I know it's
you could maybe try to talk to RPM and just say, hey, we tried this out for a month. What if we make these type of tweaks or edits to the listing and kind of see what they say? But I know how it is with that first one, man. When you have it vacant and that's like your only one, you're trying to rent that. Like it was like really stressful for me because I didn't do my research beforehand. I didn't know market rents, and the moment I dropped my price to market rents, it like rented,
almost immediately.
yeah, pretty fast. Like once it got to market rents, it went pretty fast. But I still made mistakes even after that because I just wanted to rush things so much. That's the one where I ended up having to switch property managements and I had to go through the eviction. So it's like if you have the time to just kind of hold it and make tweaks and you get the right tenant in, oh, you'll be so much better off. But it's just I know how it is though. That first one, it's so stressful just trying to get your first tenant.
Yeah, so I think especially after, I don't want to keep saying all the headaches, but I just had so many headaches. But the amount of uh paperwork, I'll just say paperwork that
Yeah,
I've had to
yeah.
deal with, it's just basically to the point of like, you know, quote unquote, I just want this done already, but I know I can't rush it.
Yeah.
So because that's the one thing I have seen is every time I have tried to rush, there's either been some sort of mistake that someone was about to make or had made or somebody just caught, things like that. So just got to be patient, but again, um not impatient, I guess. So I'll start with the description, and then I may ask Matt tomorrow. You guys think this might be a good idea, like to see about different types of uh I guess what would you call it, first month concessions to try to see whether that would make any sense
You don't
or
need to do that if your rent's low.
Right. Well, Matish, didn't I hear you say earlier that you thought that 1,300 was a good price for the area?
I don't know the area exactly, just in general, I would say 1,300 for 4 bedrooms, 1 bath.
Right. Rentometer's got average at 14,
is that 6 months ago or is that 3 months ago?
1480.
Is that
Yeah.
the one from 6 months ago or from 3 months ago, Sean?
Let me see.
Because when I look at the one from six
On
months ago,
on
Mhm.
Zillow, your block, what is it? What's the crime rate on your block?
On
On Zillow.
Zillow, I
Yeah.
have not looked at the Zillow crime
Is it green or
statistics.
middle, in the middle? 'Cause
I can
that'll
take
determine your rent right there.
I can take a look on Zillow. I've been using Bright Investor. Let's see, Zillow. I don't even think I've even used the crime feature thing on Zillow.
Zillow or Trulia was one of those.
Oh, it might be
In
Trulia.
Detroit, it's block by block.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely very yeah, I think it's Trulia. I want to say it's Trulia. I don't think it was let me see. Okay, yeah, recent searches, 4 bed, 1 bath. Let me see. What how do you I don't even know how to look for the crime feature on there.
It would already be there, part of the page.
Hmm.
It's been a while.
Yeah, Chester, if I adjust, I tried to do it without logging in, but if I log in, Rentometer's got average at 1327 and medium at 1335, and the Zillow listing, they've got it at 1475, so you might be a little bit above area average.
Yeah. Yeah, now, and like I said, that was from how long ago was that? It's mid-October, so yeah. Uh, probably about 3 months ago now. So yeah, it probably was higher back then. So yeah, and of course, like I said, because I had not been watching it on a regular basis to see that drop, um, yeah, so it seems like that makes the most sense is start with, like I said, just knock off like 150. So it's like, 1325 range. Um, yeah, that seems to be, I mean, that seems to be the most reasonable, for lack of a better phrase. That seems to be the most reasonable thing. But
Well, the other thing too, I don't know the Detroit market, so I would definitely defer to Matish on this, but you're kind of getting into a slower part of the year, right? Is we're in mid-October now.
that's the other thing that I was thinking about is especially because
So it's always going to be better in the spring and summer, right? In most markets, and
Oh,
in a
yeah.
lot of them.
Yeah, that was the other thought is that's why I said I didn't want to be like, ridiculously antsy about it because, once Thanksgiving rolls around, Christmas rolls around, I basically am essentially resigned to paying, November and December the mortgage on the property, unless somebody is like, "Oh my God, I need to like get out of, the elements now." Like outside of something crazy like that, I just don't see it. So, yeah, I think that's the one thing too is like because there is only one bathroom, that's one thing I have noticed is that the bathroom count, well, bedroom and bathroom count is, the like number one in 1A, of figuring out how much to charge. So, and I think it was Michelle had said it a second ago too, like, no, Anna had said it about the rent box having to stay current. Because if it's not like, you know, 2 months have gone by and I listed it for what I thought it was, 2, 3 months ago, and now it's just like, okay, this is way out of date. So that's what, okay. So yeah, I think those are gonna be like my two sort of, I guess you want to call it action items. Every time I join, I have homework. So I'm typing this up now.
It is an accountability group,
The rentometer or something is one thing, but you also, when you have a rent box, Chester, you know who the competitions are. Like who's got the houses just like yours in your neighborhood. And if you are to rent, you're probably looking at the similar listing, and then if the other competitor is having a 1 month rent free, then you know at least, right?
Yeah.
What was the very last part you said, Anna? It's kind of a little bit like
Oh yeah,
uh
my Wi-Fi is kind of foggy, but I was saying that you need to. I like to know who the competitors are. What houses are competing with mine at the same time. So
mm,
when you have a rent box, say your house is 4 bedroom and 1 bath. Who else got that house just like yours in a near commuter area? And then what kind of deal are they have? What is the price that they are charging? And then how soon they are actually flying off the market? You know, having a rent box up to date, you kind of get the feel for your competitors. Because if you are looking for a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, you're not going to be looking at the 4 bedroom, 1 bath house. You're going to be always looking at least a 3 bath, 4 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, and things like that. So having a rent box up to date and what kind of deal that they are offering, especially if the market is changing at the because of the season, you're gonna be able to be up to date for your offer instead of making us say, okay, I'm gonna have $50 or 1 month rent or something. And see the competitors who else are competing at the same time as you are. Or
yeah, that is a really good point. That's something that I um had not focused on, was keeping the rent box current, and um that I don't want to say necessarily a costly lesson, but I have had to already take care of September, the mortgage for September. But yeah, definitely something that it's been it's an important lesson. So yeah, no, definitely do appreciate that. Anna is, yeah, definitely cannot use dated information. Um, so that will be, and I think, yeah, it may simply just be, just starting with, like I said, 1300, 1325. Um, yeah, it seems like 1350 would be too high for the area, but yeah, definitely making sure that, regardless of whatever else is going on, you know, keeping the rent box current needs to be, sort of top of mind. So,
I would say like a good agent would know within 2 weeks what the pricing should be, at least the trend
okay.
of it. Like, should you lower it or raise it, So within 2 weeks, if there's no demand, that would mean reduce your rent.
Right. Yeah. So that definitely makes sense. But now I've got this new tool that I found out about today, and just put in the chat for everybody else, this Rentcast, and it seems to be, basically spot on to what you were saying, Mitesh, about uh, you know, basically 1300 flat, at most 1325. So, um yeah, so I've got at least a few things to kind of take away from this, Definitely number one is updating the copy for the ad ad for the property to make 100% sure that that's something that people will actually want to look at and be like, "Oh yeah, this is near this and this and this and this," and "Oh yeah, at
Yeah,
least
I
want to
don't
inquire."
think people check on any of that. It's basically price. They come over, look at the place. If they like it, they'll rent it. So all this stuff about descriptions and photos, it's
Mhm.
really not relevant. The number one thing people look at is the price and the
Yeah.
location.
Yeah, price. Price made the difference for me too. Once it was market rents, it's like that was the biggest factor.
Gotcha. Okay, so then I will make that number one then. So, rent box, and
The one
then
thing you've got going for you, Chester, is I'm just looking at other stuff on Zillow, is there's not a lot of other 4 bedrooms that I'm seeing.
yeah, and that it's almost kind of like a double-edged sword because it's like, okay, there's not a ton of competition, but then at the same time, the ones that are like somewhat nearby, those like Mitesh was saying in terms of like the bathroom count, anything that's like a one bed, it seems to command significantly lower rent than, two or even 1.5 or more. But, you know, that was something like, again, because I hadn't been doing the rent box for a while, hadn't really
Yeah, those extra bedrooms are kind of worthless without an extra bathroom.
So now I'm thinking, this might be something just more for me to try to figure out, but Frank, how much do you think a half bath would cost to install?
It could really
Well,
vary
it's
depending.
not the cost, it's the headache.
Yeah, you have to have a easy place to put it in the house. Usually you do bathrooms back to back if you can, because all the plumbing's in one location.
I would say it's not worth it. Just go with the lower rent.
Well, you're
Mhm.
okay.
Especially the first year.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Get
Okay.
it there.
Okay.
It's time for me to hit the rack, guys and gals.
Alrighty. Well,
Oh wow, yeah.
I can't believe I'm going to make it to the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sean.
This might be the longest, one of the longest ones.
It is, yeah.
It's almost
See-
1 a.m. for me.
Well, see, Mark actually accomplished his mission, which was to come in here, cause a bunch of havoc for like half an hour,
Mhm.
talking about drinking and
Yeah.
being drunk, and like I could have gotten all of this done like half an hour ago, but I'm not gonna sit here and blame it.
Well,
But
you'll see him tomorrow, I'm sure, in Matt's live, so be sure and bring it up.
I will make sure he knows. Like, you cost me half an hour of sleep, Mark.
Franks, thanks so much for hosting.
Of course, I'm glad you guys
Yeah.
were able to make it. I appreciate all your input and all the suggestions. It's helping. You can see that now with these guys.
Yeah. Like I said, this is definitely valuable stuff. Definitely was even though I've already shaved my head bald, I was gonna find hair to pull out.
You haven't seen frustration yet. Just wait a little bit.
Oh boy, I've already heard a lot of the horror stories, like Matt's lead order story, and I'm just like,
Yeah, once you place your tenant, then you can worry about your eviction, right?
oh, I was gonna say, then the fun begins. Oh boy.
Once it's collecting the payment, then it's the eviction.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Good night,
Yeah,
doll.
All right,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Alrighty.
All right, now.
Thanks, Sean.
All right.
Thank
Alrighty.
you.
Okay,
Alrighty,
bye.
you guys have a good one.
Okay,
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
sounds good.